Okay. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Before we do the roll call, Andy Hippolyte is not available. He had to fly to Florida for a family situation. Susan has suddenly become unavailable for this evening. She's got something she's got to deal with. Okay. So can we have the roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember Dayton?
Here.
Councilmember Grossman? Councilmember Menon? Councilmember Michaels?
Present.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Here.
Councilmember Park? Mayor Zinna?
Here. Councilman Grossman indicated he'll be here at 7:30, and Councilman Menon is on his way. Okay. First order of business are pickleball renovation options. So, Jamie, would you like to come up? You made some recommendations, please. Just put your name out there for the record, please, so we all know.
Jamie Cannon.
Go ahead. What are your thoughts?
So I sent over 3 proposals for possible pickleball court locations. I don't know if you could,
I
yes.
don't have those attached. Oh,
There they are.
Option 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Hold on a second, Jamie.
Sure.
You good?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Jamie, please.
Okay, so the 3 options were courts 5, 6, and 7, which are lighted courts, a little bit closer to the Tiger Cage. Basically, what we could do with those is one of 2 options. My suggestion is to resurface and reline the lighted courts for both tennis and pickleball. This will allow pickleballers and tennis people to play from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. under the lights and be able to acquire memberships to play. You could put 3 pickleball courts. That's the first option. A second option would be to put 6 pickleball courts, meaning 2 per regulation size tennis court. And you could also do rolling nets. So you could have 6 courts.
Can you hold this thought for a second? I'm going to interrupt you. I just have to ask the council a question. I'm getting a request to hold the pickleball discussion until 7:30 tonight, because apparently a number of the residents were told it was at 7:30. And so I don't want to blast through it if people were specifically told 7:30. What does everybody think?
I think the residents are important to include.
You good with waiting? Okay, so Jamie, you're going to have to make this speech twice.
I will say it
You did
again.
very well the first time.
Thank you.
Sit right there. You don't need to go anywhere. Okay, sorry to do that to you, but the residents are told 7:30. We want to make sure they hear it.
I would agree.
Yeah, okay. So why don't we, swim club update, we're really skipping because Andy Hippolyte is not able to be here this evening. He had a situation in Florida, as I mentioned. He had to deal with that. So let's go right to transportation safety and flow recommendation update.
I thought this was great.
So Jimmy, you want to, you can, if it's too warm for you, you can keep your jacket off.
I'm okay.
You're good? Okay.
Well, if we do this well, I'll be very quick and efficient, and I can keep it on right out the door. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Evening.
As a reminder, John Jar with Brightview Engineering, and thank you so much for having me back again. Appreciate the opportunity. I would like to question, did everybody have a chance to review the slides that we put together? In order for brevity, does anybody have any direct questions you want to ask about the slides? Or can I just kind of run down what's happened and what's going on, and give you guys a quick synopsis?
Any questions from the council at this point?
I was going to let John go first and then follow up.
Okay, go ahead,
So you might
John.
answer stuff.
Okay, so for just a quick rundown is, since we last met, we made a few minor adjustments to the engineer's estimates and whatnot for phase one. It went up a little bit. We kind of felt that the bump out work at Piermont and J, after having a discussion with the council, needed to be enhanced a little bit. So that price went up a little bit. However, there's been a lot of work done since we last got together, okay? Of which the following. We had meetings with Jimmy, we had meetings with CSX, we had meetings with NJDOT, and we've had meetings with Bergen County. And to that end, I believe that I have nothing but good news to report on every one of those items. CSX and NJDOT and Jimmy and I met at the rail tracks. They are considering our request to change the designation of the rail to out of service, which will be our first step towards other improvements in the future. CSX is also going to be sending somebody out to do cleaning of the brush and whatnot. DOT advised them. Basically, what happened is this only happens in America, okay? So some really nice lady, we're all in a group. This really, like Jimmy can tell you, this really nice lady comes over and starts hammering on us about how what's going on. You know, nobody takes care of the brush on the tracks. The poor guy from CSX really didn't know what to do with himself. So very nicely,
Nice.
and he just got done telling us, well, the only thing we do is clear the brush. He literally just got done telling us that, and the lady came and said, no. So it was great.
Perfect
So they are
timing.
going to send someone out, they'll do some brush clearing. NJDOT will also be investing money into the rail crossings. They have stepped up, they're going to help. Jimmy's already, in discussions and been advocate. Before I got here, he was already on that, just so you all know. So I don't get any credit for that. He was already talking to DOT about the crossings, he was already pressing it. All I've done is just add a little bit more canola oil to the process to help things slide a little. Okay, so we're really making progress there. In my engineering services, from every proposal from this point forward, I will be putting a little bit of money in to help keep that process going. I want you to have very realistic expectations. I think we're looking at a 3 to 5 year process to continue to work to get it to a conclusion. I cannot tell you what the conclusion will be. The conclusion may be they're extending the light rail. The conclusion may be rails to trails. I cannot tell you the answer to that right now. I can tell you is we have to keep pushing them to make a decision, all right? And that's what we will do. With Jimmy's help, I am sure over the next few years, we will continue to push. We will continue to keep those guys cleaning the rail. I have other solutions I spoke with DOT about. DOT will be coming back. We have DOT now engaged into this, and I think we'll have their cooperation for years to come to get this to a better place. All right, so real good progress there. CSX has got their own process, and please keep in mind, it's not that CSX wants to be uncooperative or not do anything, but it comes down to money for them, right? They own this property, and it doesn't benefit them to any shape or form until something's going to happen, all right, to do anything with it. So they're going to do as little as they can over the course of the process. It'll be up to Jimmy and I to push them to do as much as we can to do, and rest assured we'll do that. And of course, once again, DOT is actively engaged, and I expect their help for many years to come. We got a great guy that's working with us. I'm working with him on multiple other projects. Every single time I brought him to a job, he's invested hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're just in the process of doing that now here.
What's the DOT rep name? Is that Eric?
Eric Saunders, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so, and, Eric he's the guy. We really are, we're very lucky to have him for this area.
Yeah.
And then last but not least is real positive news with Bergen County. I've gone over with Nancy Dargis, the assistant county engineer, our plans and what we're doing. She's very excited to hear what we want to do and 100% in favor. The county has no problem allowing us to, go full at it and replace the East Clinton and Dean Street light. We have options that I will go over with Jimmy on how we do that and what happens with it, but the county is, so long as it meets warrants, I assure you it does. The county is 100% on board with us going ahead and moving forward with the project to replace that and put a full-flow traffic light in and make the necessary traffic improvements noted in our study. I sent Nancy the study some time ago. She didn't get a chance to look at it. I spoke with her today. I'm going to resend her the study tomorrow. I'm actually going to make a paper copy for her and mail it to her regular mail. Like everyone else in our business, she is just, I don't know how you guys are, she's crushed. But we're very lucky. I've been working with her for a very, very long time. She takes very good care of my projects. I cannot ever complain on how Nancy Dargis or Joe Femia has ever treated any town I've worked in Bergen County. They're great advocates. I can assure the council they will help us in any way that they can. So So you guys should feel really warm about that. And, you know, she will look at the study, and at some point, I'll go up to her office in Hackensack, and we'll sit down and we'll see maybe the county can put some skin in our game too at some point. Jimmy and I will probably have a meeting with them, I would say probably within the next 3 to 6 months, you know, when things clear up for them, and we'll see what kind of engagement we get from the county to help us out. And that's it. And my timeline from this council meeting tonight, moving forward, is enclosed. And essentially, all I need you guys to do is sign for the council to approve our engineering scope of work and proposal. And we will get started immediately with survey, and we will move forward. I feel very strongly that we can make every one of those deadlines we put forth there. And this time next year, we'll be looking at a brand new traffic light and some really, really significant changes to your downtown. This is the first step of many to come. I really encourage everybody to think of the end result here. I understand that there may be some trepidations or some concerns by council members, but I think that if you guys can look at the other side of this, look at what it's going to look like a year from now, having the bump outs, having the new traffic light, significantly improving the flow. We'll have at least the first step of the rail out of the way. At our meeting with the DOT, they did absolutely agree we can take the preemption timings out of the lights. The DOT said, yeah, no question whether CSX likes it or not, they're going to help us with that, and by all means, they agree that that's not necessary. Clearly, there's going to be no trains on those tracks right away. So our only agreement is we have to agree that it can be re-implemented if they do that. And that's no problem for me. And that's going to help us right off the bat. So, I mean, it's going to make a big difference in the traffic flow. You'll notice the difference. I think that when we had our previous presentation, it'll be taking you less time to get from one side of town to the other. I think the residents will really appreciate that, especially during the AM and PM peak hour, especially during the school times. I think our residents are really going to benefit from some of these improvements. Of course, the phase 2 and phase 3 are the home run, but I think that that's something that we need to work on. My feeling on that is, let's get phase 1 done, let's get our skin in the game, let's show everybody we're going forward to do this, and then that gives going to give Jimmy and I some leverage here, maybe wrangle down one of these large federal grants to do phase 2 and phase 3 in its entirety.
So
Go ahead,
just
Julie.
if residents were asking us about this light, you're actually saying that you see it as facilitating the traffic moving faster at these peak hours, right? Placing a light there.
It's not, no, we're not going to make the traffic move faster, all right? Everybody
Okay.
has to obey the speed limits, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to create a situation where more cars can move through the system efficiently. Fast is not what I ever aim for, okay? I spend a great deal of my life doing traffic calming and road diets and things that make it so that traffic better facilitates itself through a town. In your town, I don't need the cars to go any faster. What I need is I need them to be more efficient and not wait so long at the traffic lights.
It will go faster, not speed-wise.
Yes.
The timing of the
Yes.
traffic.
The faster is the amount of time, not the speed.
Yes,
Agreed.
Say which lights you're talking about?
just the
You don't
dean,
have
the dean and,
Clinton.
Yeah, for
Like
phase
Clinton
1,
now.
we're focusing just on Dean and East Clinton.
And can you just share with the council again, I think, the grants, you mentioned to Jimmy about the grants, you've looked at grants, you've had some successes.
Yeah, we've just started. Well, I've been very, very lucky. You guys happen to have picked the best grant writer on the face of the planet. I've worked with Millennium Strategies for as long as I can remember. Okay, they are the best grant writer. I'm very excited that you guys picked them. I've had tremendous success working with them on various grants. We've had a lot of success. For example, the Hamilton Township Rails to Trails, that was a project that I worked on. Not only were they able to wrangle down money from the county and from the state for us to make that, it's a massive improvement, bridges and everything involved, but they were leading the way, getting that money for us. Right now, I'm just actually finishing a huge roadway project on JFK Parkway in Bloomfield. Both sides of the Garden State Parkway is flanked by JFK Parkway. It actually starts the parkway, goes back to the parkway. $2 million of grant money that the town got for Bloomfield for that. In, out, done. No fooling around. They come to us. What it is there's an interesting interplay that has to happen between the grant writer and the engineer. So they need me to give them backup engineering proofs, in our case, some of the information from our study. If we can apply for an air quality grant, our synchro model will be used to prove that we'll make the air quality better, and that qualifies us for an air quality grant. An example is Hoboken. I did the same kind of work for Hoboken in what they call the Southwest Quadrant. When we started there, it took 20 minutes to get through the area. Now it takes 3. Big difference in that. And they have qualified for a large air quality grant, and now they're going to combine their grant with Hudson County's air quality grant. So now we get, instead of having $1.5 million, now they have $3 million to do major improvement projects. And hopefully we can do the same. And I'll rest assured, I've worked on Hackensack's grants. Hackensack got a huge grant. They combined their grant with Bergen County. Bergen County is the greatest when it comes to shared services and teaming up on these federal grants. You have, in my opinion, probably the best partner in the state. Bergen is awesome when it comes to teaming up on grants and on shared services.
Questions, Lauren, go ahead.
John, first of all, I'm for all phases of this project. It incorporates so many different traffic corners and signals, and I think just the safety element is going to be so much better. My question is actually walkability across County Road.
Pardon me?
Walkability across
Walkability, of course.
county road. So we're going to be changing Dean, which will then back up into county. And a lot of school children and actually all residents are walking across from where the homes are on either side of county. They want safe crossings.
Yep.
We've had accidents, pedestrian accidents there. We've had children hit there. Somebody, one of the residents actually said to me, can you ask, so I'm going to ask this question. Is there any opportunity to build a path in which the residents come up and above like they do in New York City? Like, you know, over county?
The answer to that question is, if you've got the money, we can make it happen. The honest answer is that.
I'm not sure. Again, I said I'd ask the question.
Well, no, listen.
There's a lot to that question.
There
I've
is.
been doing
It's
this for
an up and over.
35 years. I've worked on one, okay? And that's for Princeton University. I did the pedestrian path over Washington Road. And that cost to the tune of $18 million. Now, of course, it was Princeton, and they built it out of the finest materials and the best quality construction and many other things. But I don't think for us, although I'd love to do that, and there's no question, getting trains, getting cars, getting pedestrian and bicyclists out of the way of each other is always a thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if we had $18 million, we would be better spending it on the other things.
Sure.
And that, but yes, so yes, I'd love to do it, but I don't think it's financially feasible.
What do you suggest as the safest routes across our main thoroughfares? Piermont, County, even around Dean and East Clinton, that we can implement into here for walkability?
Already shown on my concept plans. And the
Right.
concept
These are
plans
the-
that we have for the project.
Just the
We put
striping.
a significant amount of effort into additional corner bump outs, additional high visibility, international crosswalks. They stand out. They
Mm-hmm.
make a big difference. And then the signal improvements. I think the best way to explain this is, this time next year, we should get back together and have a chat after we have the new signal in at Dean. Okay, once East Clinton and Dean is done, and you see the improvements there, the new crosswalks, the bump outs, the improvements to the curb corners, the pedestrian heads, the additional safety that goes up there, that's what you're gonna see at every other location as we improve it. But I'm spot on, I agree with you. I've spent a good amount of time in my investigations here to see that there are times that this is such a booming place. There's a lot of people walking around. Now, some lady said to me, oh, no, it's not like it used to be. So that gives me a goal now. So now our goal is to get it the way that lady used to see it. So we need to get everybody back out at night, walking around and feeling comfortable. So my goal now is to get every one of these intersections to the best possible pedestrian access and circulation as we can.
So that actually leads me to my next question, which is lighting in the intersections that we're changing. You talked about Jay and Highwood. We're talking about Dean and East Clinton.
That is a very good idea. I don't have that in the plan right now. I don't know if Bergen County, depending on how we work it out for the light with Bergen County, I don't know if Bergen County will let us add lighting to that intersection. If we end up having it just our intersection, we can do whatever we want. So Nancy said, sky's the limit. I can do whatever I want if we keep the intersection and we maintain it. So if we want to have lighting at the intersection, that may be the answer to the question I was going to talk to you about later. okay? So if it is our intention to add lighting at that intersection, I actually will add lighting at the traffic light. So each crosswalk will have a light over it that shoots down onto the crosswalk. It makes intersections so much safer. About 15 years ago or so, NJDOT made it a policy. So any new traffic lights for about the last 15 years you see on the state highway, they all have lighting, all right? They all meet a minimum lighting standard. Because this is kind of a residential area, we want to be sensitive. Now, it really is, all three corners are pretty much commercial. There's the school, we have the funeral home, and we have the, what's the hotel?
The hotel.
Yeah. So I think we can probably have a decent lighting load at that. Where I need to be more careful is when we get into the downtown and make sure if there's apartments, things get a little dicey when you have first floor retail. This is the new plan in everywhere in New Jersey, right? First floor retail and apartments above. Well, guess what? When we put a new traffic light in, and everybody said, we need more lighting. Well, I put the light in, the first thing I did, the first night we get the light, hey, the light's shining into my window. So we need to be sensitive about that in the downtown when we do the traffic lights. But they certainly can be built and made so that they face the other way, and we don't have to, cause that negative effect on the apartments. So very, very good call. But yes, without a doubt, we make sure that we incorporate lighting into the design of the new traffic lights.
Thank you.
Other questions from council members? Jeff, please.
Yeah, look, the first thing I want to say is that a light at Dean and Clinton, phenomenal. I've wanted that my whole life.
That's a home run right there.
That's a home run right there. Going from, and just your thoughts on this. If you're heading east on East Clinton, from West East Clinton, there's a point where it merges in with traffic coming from county. And I've gotten backed up there a lot without a traffic light, just trying to get over to the right to make the turn, which is always a green signal. So do you foresee a traffic light clogging up cars coming from county wanting to turn right onto Dean as a potential problem?
I see us improving that situation. We're going to coordinate that light with the light behind it. Now, I won't, obviously, in this phase one, we're not having the full-blown thing. So I will make a improvement in our coordination for all the lights, but we're not going to be 100%. All right. However, I will make that situation better, and I will alleviate a lot of that clogging up that takes place.
All right, because today I barely could get from the left to have to get over to the right.
The first two lights what it is the new traffic light is going to become our master. So as we build our system, we're going to work our way back. So obviously the first two lights are going to work really great. It's as we get further away from the Dean Street light, we're not going to have as good a coordination. All right, until we start making some of the other improvements we recommended. And we will make an improvement at everything in the system. It just won't be as good as it can be until we get on to the next steps.
All right, thank you.
Other questions from council members? Julie, please.
I was just wondering if, since the public comment comes a little later, I was just wondering if he was able to maybe stay in case there were questions about this plan. Is that?
We can do that.
Or why don't we just do it now?
We're going to, I'm going to do it now. Okay, but first I have a question about process. What's the next step? You have to come to us with, you have to submit your proposal to Jimmy?
I will have my proposal on Jimmy's desk by tomorrow. Now that I'm clear what my scope of work is, my proposal will be on Jimmy's desk tomorrow morning. He needs to come back to council, get approval of us through the engineering.
That's what happens.
So we'll have that at the August.
So for voting on at the next meeting? Okay.
The day
So-
after that meeting, I start surveying.
Then you start. Wonderful. We can get a traffic light in East Clinton and Dean this time next year. It's fabulous. Do any members of the public that have any questions for the engineer on this topic only, please? Coach, Christine's hand was up first. Sorry, Howie.
No, ladies first. I didn't say they are wrestling.
Okay, just have to identify yourself, please.
Really?
It's not for
Christine
me.
Evrod, 39 Leroy Street. I have my first questions, but I was wondering if you could just list the specific projects that are in this proposal for the public, since we didn't get a copy of the document the council got. Question for the light at East Clinton and Dean. The county is okay with not having the turning lanes and taking property, or they want us to take property from either?
The county has, in my discussions with them, has agreed to the design that I put forward on the concept plans.
Which doesn't take property or does?
We're not taking any property.
Perfect, lovely. I also
That
asked,
doesn't mean I'm not going to ask for it.
that's a different matter. That's always been the sticking point. We've never had problems with the county. The problem has been with the council taking property. But my other question on West Clinton between Railroad and Franklin, in the morning, that light will back up for trying to get across from Franklin over to Railroad can take 3 lights because people block that box. And I asked if we could paint the box. Did that make it into the proposal?
I don't believe that it extends into that intersection.
Well,
Well, that
this stage one project does not, but,
That light, that not having that block open can hold you up with that light coming from Franklin, going west for 3 traffic lights in the morning. They have fixed the armored car that used to park and block the east side of Railroad. So you couldn't get by there at all. That now parks in front of the movie theater. That's the armored car. At J parks in front of the movie theater now. So I think they addressed that problem.
All right, John, so you'll make a note of that for
I'll-
additional conversation, right?
yeah.
And if you could just list the other projects, because I have no idea what we need to comment on.
Howie,
So you have the list first.
isn't the list available to the public?
I'll be short and brief.
Okay.
It's a brand-new traffic light at East Clinton and Dean. All right, closing
Change, yeah.
the
one that says the
end of
faces.
Piermont at the bus stop, closing the end of Piermont at Hewlett Park where the train station is, and bump outs at
No,
Piermont and J.
This
Okay?
With the faces.
That's
So we're
phase one.
closing on the
The triangle.
inside sides or the outside sides of Piermont?
What? Where the bus stop is now, we're gonna go to the outside there, and then where the train station is, we're gonna put earth pavers in, or a suitable surface that closes off at the end. And we're gonna
So
then-
we can't use that as convenient shoppers parking.
No, the parking is gonna stay.
But you're
If
coming,
anything, we're gonna enhance
we're
the
coming
parking.
in from Clinton and from River Edge or from the other side? And I'm sorry that you picked me up on this.
Wait, what?
Omar, are there more pictures of it perhaps if you hit?
We didn't print them, they're not here.
No, they're only through our hyperlink.
You were shared at the last meeting.
Let me show you.
And before it's up for everybody else.
We're gonna close this here, okay? And we're gonna close this over here. Okay, this is the end.
This is River Edge, this is River Edge here.
This is West Clinton,
Oh, okay, West Clinton.
okay?
North is that
Now you want
way.
to go upside down?
This is-
Oh, this is your way.
Okay, John, Christine, John, guys, we're going to take this offline. We're getting into way too many details. Okay?
Actually, you know.
Howie, come up to the microphone, just announce yourself with your address, and go ahead and ask your question.
Howard Seiden, 88 Willow Lane, Tenafly. So I'm hearing that we're going to make changes to the railroad preemption of the traffic lights. Well, the railroad preemption only works when the signals are activated. The signals haven't activated in years. So to spend money on that is silly. And if the line were to be reactivated, this traffic light would have to be tied in to that system, because otherwise inefficient traffic flow altogether. So if you talk to CSX now, they have already shunted all the signals on the line up here, and they haven't activated in years, even when there's weather conditions. Does anybody here remember the last time they saw any of the signals flashing?
I don't have
The
any.
traffic light delays are only, they come on based on the signals, because they're tied into that. So, I think.
I don't know, I mean, John has to answer that question. We can't answer that.
All of the controllers that are adjacent to the, already have clearances for the light, for the trains, whether the train's there or not. So
Correct.
some of the yellow times and red times are accounting for a train that's never going to come. So we have extended red times and extended yellow times for train clearances that we don't need. It's not calling the preemption phase for the light, because there's, like you said, there's no light out there. But what is happening is we're losing lots and lots of green time opportunity for the extended yellows and greens and preemption and sequencing that is necessary in case there would be a train. So that's where we're getting our savings. We're getting rid of extended cycle lengths. We're able to get rid of a couple of phases that are still in controllers. The other thing is we have these controllers packed all of this nonsense, when the guy printed out the controller, it was a 300-page printout it made absolutely no sense, all right? We're gonna get all of that out of there and get these lights back down to working the way they're supposed to and take all of our road out. If we ever have to come back and put it again, well, then we have to come back and put it again. But for now, or at least for the foreseeable future, we don't need all
But
that.
the town has to look at a system that's able to communicate throughout the town. The technology is there. Yes, it's a little bit of money, but like Lauren wanted to spend money on a crossing. Well, we can easily add pedestrian crossings to the county road with interactive signals. I don't understand why they don't have one in front of Englewood Hospital, but that's another story for another town. But there are towns that are doing it where you hit the button and there are lights that activate and the traffic comes to a stop. High visibility with hash marks on the road, a pedestrian crossing. Those are the things we need for traffic calming in this town.
So why don't you have an offline with the engineer and start suggesting some of these details?
That's exactly how East
Yeah.
Clinton and Dean's going to work.
Absolutely.
Well, we need to consider that on county road, that'll take county approval, but on some of the side roads too. Just to curb it, even on Tenafly Road or on Knickerbocker. Well, Knickerbocker's another county road, but I'm sure there are other streets in town that we definitely need that for pedestrian, to help the pedestrians in this town.
Agreed.
That's another
Yeah.
county
John,
road.
Howie is the head of our transportation
Right.
committee, so I just want to give you that, title, and so he's very knowledgeable about the things in our community here.
And I work in traffic engineering, but I'm not an engineer.
Yes, so I am.
Yeah, they need to have an offline
You guys
discussion.
should absolutely, you should be included in this as we brainstorm and figure out what goes into this proposal.
There also still remains a rumor that Interstate Waste and Closter is looking to reactivate the line.
I think we're on the, third or fourth year of that rumor?
It's
right?
30 years out. Those tracks are not
No,
usable
but
as is.
they've been acquiring more landfills across the country and more transfer stations. And they're, if you go to their website, it says that they're trying to ramp up the moving freight by rail, garbage by rail, excuse me, not freight.
Howie, if you give me your contact info, I'm talking to the chief tomorrow. If the council gives us authorization to move forward, I'm going to get together with the chief. Why don't you and I join the chief, and the three of us get together and have a bona fide discussion, all right? And you can bring these things to the table.
Yeah,
Understand
of
that
course.
everything I'm doing, I'm guiding through the chief, because no matter what I do, he's the one that's got to enforce it. All right, so just so you know that the most of the freight train at this point now, once the council says go forward, I'm going to be guiding it through the chief and his desk. Okay, so the next meeting, let's have with you, and I want you to come and talk with us.
Sounds
All
great.
right, and this way you can get all those things on the table with him. I think, obviously, some of them are out of the scope of phase one, though.
Well, we need to replace these traffic signals from 1947 that are still,
That's recommendation in our report,
Like it-
but,
like it ain't going-
but that's phase two and
That's
phase
why
three.
we're here tonight, Howie, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right.
Thanks,
So,
Howie.
John, it sounds like we have clarity, okay, in that you'll get your proposal to Jimmy, and then we'll vote on it at the next meeting and move forward. Christine, you had one final question?
Yes, on the parking across from the diner, you have the entrance coming on the River Edge Road side, and you are reducing parking. As residents, you know how people circle looking for parking. You're off of that circle, so that's not usable parking for the downtown shopping people, where you have it. If you have the opening on the other side, as they do their little circles, I think you're going to have more use of that parking lot. You're also reducing parking in that park area, which I don't think we can really afford for a vibrant downtown. Thank you.
Just one thing, just for clarity, John, these are not the two things with the closures, those are not permanent, it's specifically a pilot to see how it goes, right?
Correct. The phase one closures of the Pier 1 are pilot.
Pilot, right.
All right, so then we'll make
Right.
more importantly, around the park, we still need a lot of council input for that.
Thank you, John, and thank you.
Thank
to
you
the
very much.
John, thank you.
And Howie and Christine, thank you for your comments.
All done?
Well done.
All done.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate you putting up with me, guys.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to hearing from you soon.
Okay.
Howie, thanks.
Jamie? Let's have a discussion. Talk to us about pickleball, and then we'll have
Hello
members.
again.
And with the council's indulgence, we'll have members of the public, of course, come up and voice their concerns as soon as Jamie and the council are done with the beginning of this discussion. Okay, all right, Jamie has the floor.
Okay. Hello again. I was tasked by the mayor and council to come up with 3 options to put pickleball courts. So you probably have my proposal. Option number 1 is to put pickleball courts on courts 5, 6, and 7, which are lighted courts. And they would be available from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm recommending a resurface of the courts and lined for both tennis and pickleball. There are 2 options that come along with that. You can put 3 pickleball courts, or there's an option to do 2 per tennis court, which will be 6 pickleball courts with nets that could be portable. So that's options 1 and 2. There was an option 3 of the multi-use cage. That cage was earmarked for a grant for multi-use space where the old skate park was. It was approved in our capital budget and through the grant to do a open space multi-use area for that cage. So that cage is also not lighted. So I'm sure our pickleball community will let you know they would love to play till 10 p.m. I want to maximize their time being able to play the sport. So those are the 3 options that I came up with.
Questions? Julie, please.
Hi, Jamie. The multi-use part that has already been applied for a grant, what is that? What is that multi-use?
So basically, once the old skate park, there was no pieces left. We were thinking of things we could do to maximize space around town. I know we have a spatial issue, and a lot of community members were asking for all different types of things. Let it be sports or games or places to bring their children. We also have a volleyball community that they were asking. We don't have any volleyball programs outdoors. We would be able to use portable nets. It would be available for our community of 15,500 residents that could use this open space. This space consists of 2 regulation-sized tennis courts. So we basically put in that we would do foursquare and be able to play lacrosse or soccer, and we would have those portable nets. So anyone around town from, you could bring your toddler there, you could sit on a bench inside safely in the gated area, up to seniors where the senior center can do a fitness class, or they could even play sports in there in a safe space. So that's what we originally had asked for when we wanted the multi-use cage.
Jeff?
So let me understand, because I played a lot of volleyball. And if you're talking about a court there of some sort, people don't play volleyball outside on non-slip surfaces. That's why beach volleyball is a thing. You either play in a gym where you can slide when you go for the ball. So I'm not sure how you're reconciling these various uses. I think one of the things that is being asked for here is not a shared court, but a dedicated court for pickleball, even if you're willing to take even if you're willing to take at least 1 or 2 of those tennis courts. But you have lessons scheduled, don't you, on most of those courts during the summer?
We have some lessons
And
during the
when do
day.
those lessons go? From when to when?
So most of our lessons are done by around 6:30, and then the private lessons, there's a couple courts being used for private lessons.
So you say they're done by 6:30. When do they start?
After school.
Well, during the summer. It's only after school during the summer?
We have tennis camps, so it could be 9 to 1, and then we have private and semi-private lessons, which are scattered throughout the day during the summer.
All right, so I think the concern with the first two options is that these courts are in high demand for tennis at the prime time that both sports want to use it. So as long as you're running camps, which I commend you for running them, that makes it very hard to have a multi-use court, unless you want our pickleball players to be playing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a day like this. So I think we need to revisit how that aspect of this will work, because the camps are tremendously successful.
We have
And
a
the
very
private-
large tennis community.
and
We're
the
one of the
pri- and
largest.
we, as I've found out that the hard way, we have a very large pickleball community. And I think we need to kind of respect that we have soccer cage, we have basketball courts, we have tennis courts, and to take one of the courts and either dedicate it or to reimagine how we're looking at this multi-use court, because again, you're not playing volleyball on a hard surface outdoors. That just, I don't know anyone who would be competitive in doing that.
Not competitive, just
Even for fun.
recreationally, activity, things like that.
I used to play when the old Tenafly Swim Club had an outdoor beach volleyball court. That's how you play, out on the sand, outdoors. So I want you to consider those in terms of the three options you presented us with.
So I think about the pickleball community, and I know they want to play at night because it does get dark pickleball is an all year-round sport, and that's the only area right at this moment we have lights, unless we wanted to relocate or get a set of lights put in that area. So I'm just thinking about their long-term being able to play all hours of the day.
Well, so I think that you've raised some good questions in terms of, I think Jeff
What
and I are
exists
on the
now.
same page with, we have a very strong tennis playing community here, and it doesn't make sense to me that we would take away the tennis players' opportunities. I think we have to figure out what pickleball players need, and if that means we need lights to invest in, to make the courts worthwhile and workable, then we have to take that into consideration as part of the program, right? Because we don't want to harm one thing just to try to make it work and kind of hodgepodge it together. I think two separate facilities is probably where we're going to wind up going.
Well, there's finite resources.
No, I'm not suggesting, right, there's finite resources, but at the end of the day, we're not going to, if the tennis courts are constantly filled with tennis players, well,
But again, every court, everything in town.
we have the old skate park, right? That's option number 3. It could be rebuilt. But go ahead, Lauren.
So first of all, thank you everyone for being out here. Jamie, thank you for doing this work. I'm not going to pick either option on our existing tennis courts. I don't think, I play tennis, I'm there all the time with my girls, and I don't think I want to reduce our tennis playing. Plus, I don't think our pickleball community, as Jeff said, wants to share their time and be competitive, having to either, only be able to play certain days or have to wait for lessons or tennis camps. So I would like to task back some additional options. I know the old skate park, obviously, we have a grant undergoing. And again, I think pickleball, still more exciting some ways than some of our skate park community. I mean, I'm not going to completely say that there's not a skate park community, there is, but that might be an option for our pickleball courts. It might be next to it. Again, the other thing we have to consider is that pickleball has noise associated with it. In many places that are putting in pickleballs, pickleball courts, the neighbors are complaining. So I'm going to actually take back, I was just saying, well, what about, part of Muni? But Foster Road is very close to there. We've already had that with the dog park. So I would like to actually see additional options, whether it be, I don't know, a center of town next to the basketball courts. Maybe carve out an additional space right there in the center of town.
Rearrange things over there potentially.
Make a smaller Oresco and a more active play space right there, that center. We could at least get 2 to 4 courts there. I'm not really,
We have the old skate park, you have what you're talking about there.
you have that area, we have some parking lots that we were
have the
looking.
swim club, maybe we can carve it. I think there's a lot of places that we need to think about.
But I am going to say this to the pickleball community that came out tonight. understand that if we decide as a council not to use the existing tennis courts, you are waiting longer to get this done. If we have the existing tennis courts now with the lights and the options for the portable nets, you will be playing pickleball and tennis in Tenafly much sooner.
Why don't I, so.
Go ahead.
My
Go ahead,
proposal would be, I like the, what I do today and then what I do tomorrow.
Right.
I think we'd all agree that we need 1,000 more fields of everything tomorrow.
100%.
It sounds like Jamie, the director of recreation, came back with a pretty no regret win, which is.
Get it
We have
now.
the two sets of crappy courts that need to be resurfaced. Why don't we do that immediately, like tonight? Why don't we immediately tonight, and even if it's scheduled, we could schedule certain times for pickleball such that they could be playing
Correct.
tomorrow.
Yes.
And then in parallel to that, in parallel to them playing tomorrow, we gotta find more space. And then there's space that we don't own as well that I have spoken pretty vocally about, we should be acquiring and getting more space. So I wouldn't look at this as one thing, I'd look at it as two, which is what can I do literally tomorrow, which Jamie has given us tomorrow, and then what can we do X months from now?
I think that was very well said. I always look for a win-win, and I want them to be playing now. And finding extra space for anything is a plus. But if we can have lighted courts, get them resurfaced, it's a win for tennis, it's a win for pickleball, to get them at least out there and doing something right away, because the surface is there, the fences are there, the lights are there. So if we could get them doing something sooner.
How will, Jeff, go ahead, then I have a question.
So, to Councilman Michael's point, and it's something you usually advocate. So I'm going to challenge this council. The more we discuss, let's look for this site, or we don't own one, we're going to buy it. I think it's true that we could have pickleball shared with tennis this summer. Right now, it's not ideal, but I would task this council with, by next summer, there be dedicated courts. And if we're going to sit here and play the game of, well, let's look for land, let's find it, they're going to be looking at the year 2028, 2029. And I don't want to see that. We
We're on the
have,
same page. I would start, again, tomorrow we're playing.
But
Let's keep looking, next
I-
council meeting, what is the, where's?
no,
where's
this
the-
council meeting was to do that. And what we're doing is we put off to the next council meeting. And as far as the courts, well, we do. We have a grant in for a place we should strongly conserve. As far as the courts are concerned, you know, I went down there because there were a lot of complaints about the conditions of the court. And it really, I don't understand why that wasn't in the budget for this year to fix those courts, because those courts were in horrible shape. And now to sit here and say, well, because pickleball has reminded us how bad they are, that we're running camps on this, I don't understand why the ask is now and it wasn't 3 months ago, because those courts were in horrible condition 3 months ago. So we do need to address that, but that should have been addressed previously. And I don't quite understand, are we not, looking at these facilities on a regular
That's
basis?
under Parks Department, that's DPW.
But you run camps there,
100%,
right?
they're well aware that the courts need resurfacing in the project.
But you run camps there, right? That's
If
under
I had,
recreation,
if I
that's
had Mike
not under
Cassidy here,
DPW.
he knows those courts need to be redone. He's very well aware of it.
Well,
We are all very well aware that the courts are not in good condition.
right, so now here we are at the 0 hour, halfway through summer, now discussing fixing them, when
Yeah, I
we've been
think
running
that-
camps there for a month.
The bigger question is going to be, should the court, I think the issues with the courts are 100% valid issue, but the bigger question is, where do we put pickleball, right? That's, at the end of the day, that's the question, right?
Right, and where do we put it by next summer?
Right. Lauren?
So I'd like to ask, when I go to the courts, they're packed, they're full, sometimes I wait. What do you envision as a shared schedule with pickleball? Because what I don't want to happen is pickleball players show up and tennis players show up and everyone's duking it out on the side of the court. That's not productive. So I would actually recommend designated shared days so that, pickleball's on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and tennis is on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or some version, and the pickleball community can weigh in on this when they typically play. But it's going to have to be something shared at this time if you want an immediate court here within the town. Because I can tell you right now, I wait for tennis. I mean, tennis to me is very crowded.
We have a membership system, and you can reserve court time. And it's posted on the permit boards. It works really well for those that are members. They do a great job with booking courts. They book the court they want. And tennis would be no different than pickleball. They can
How-
reserve their courts.
How quickly can you flip the court between the sports?
It's 1 hour maximum. If somebody's
So
after
let's say
you.
there's tennis and then pickleball.
A pickleball net
Somebody
is,
from our side need to be there to flip that?
it depends which way you go. If you're going to do 3 full courts instead of 6 with portable nets, a pickleball net is 2 inches shorter than a tennis net, so you would get adjustable nets. It's just a quick crank down.
And the
If-
players could do this?
Yes,
We don't need staffing?
you don't need staff.
Okay, so which
they
of
come
those
that way.
options is more conducive to a shared space?
Right, it's just adjustable nets. If you do portable nets, if you want to do 6 courts instead of 3, then they're portable roll-away nets.
And they're just stored on the side or on the back?
Right.
And again, which option, 1 or 2, works best to share the 2 sports?
They're both, it depends how many courts you want, and it's a preference of people that play pickleball. Do they want to roll the nets around?
Okay.
It gives them maximum, it gives them 6 courts instead of 3.
I mean,
You know,
honestly, we're gonna-
it's
we'd like to hear-
more of a
We're going to-
preference.
We're going to in a second.
Yeah.
I just have one
It's
quick
more of a
que-
preference.
So in all these options, are you talking about 2 pickleball courts that are 44 by 20?
3, you could do 3, 1 on each full-size regulated tennis court, or you could do 6. So basically, where the tennis net is now, you could do 1, 2 courts per regulation size court, which gives you 6 courts.
Okay,
But
so
again,
for 6
preference
courts-
of a pickleball community.
6 courts, you need 44 by 60 feet of space or something like that. Okay.
Right, correct.
I think I'd like to, the council would like to hear from some members of the public. Julie, you want to go first, and then we're going to hear from the public.
Yes, before the member of the public, just the one thing that I keep revisiting about the old skate park area, which is the multi-use facility, because we ostensibly are going to be getting some county money for that space as well. I'm just going back to this idea of, if it's a multi-use project, I'm struggling with the challenge as to why pickleball could not be one of the uses, that we put a few pickleball courts there, you have your 4 square, whatever, I mean, it just seems like that train's already left the station, and it's a dedicated area, and we might be getting county money to offset the cost. I just don't know why that keeps getting, there you go.
Hold on a second.
This is my favorite episode.
Hold on a second. Time out, hold on,
We got cable?
hold on. Okay, so Julie, I do have
Yeah.
a comment to that. It's my understanding, and I'm not, okay, guys, one at a time. I'm not an expert on pickleball or tennis, but it's my understanding the rules of the game are very different, and even the process of how people play with how they play these games are different.
So pickleball is organized sport. The multi-use area is just kind of a free play area, but if you were to put pickleball courts, let's say use one of the courts to put 1 court or 2 courts, you could run.
2 pickleball courts per
You could do
one.
2 per one, and then do the other side a multi-use space.
What's
You
wrong
could
with
put a fence across, or
All right. So
or
let-
netting. There are options.
That
All right,
sounds like
so-
then you're not fighting with
This
the
way,
tennis.
they are not dealing with kids throwing balls, and they're playing pickleball and all that stuff, so.
All right, let's hear from some members of the public who would like to, Jamie, thank you. Maybe don't go too far.
Okay.
Who would like to, any members of the public like to speak? Howie? You just identify yourself, please, again, your address.
Howard Side, 88 Willow Lane, Tenafly. I'm not a pickleball player, I'm not a tennis player, but my kids play both and they love it. I don't think you should rob Peter to pay Paul. Leave the tennis courts as they are, tennis courts. And there are some quick options that you can do to add pickleball. Like you said, the oval in the Resco Park, maybe close that off for right now in the summer, and you could mark off some pickleball.
You mean close it to traffic?
Correct. Close it to traffic. There's parking across the street by the post office they could use.
Yes, there is.
The other option also, maybe where the high school students park. How many parking spaces would you lose for like 3 or 4 pickleball courts?
There's about 200 parking spaces there now. I don't know off the top of my head how many you'd lose.
So
8, 24 maybe?
what about the other one across, the lot across the street
That's the
from the?
junior lot.
They use that.
I mean, it's a good question, though.
That's open space, though.
That's a good question.
You have.
That's a
For
good
just
question.
losing, maybe if it's only like 6 or 8 parking
It's
spots,
a good question.
It's
it
also
might be
too,
worth it.
it's too close to homes.
Basically, where I work in Jersey City,
Close
down
to
in the
people.
Newport area, they have an ice skating rink. And from November, and this March, when they took the ice skating rink down, they put 4 pickleball courts where the ice skating rink was. Because every year it becomes like an open playground area. So instead of it being an open playground picnic area, it's now pickleball. And it's always in use. But it was just quick. They just put down some markings really quick and these portable nets. So
Okay,
it's
thank
an
you.
idea, try to go about maybe as cheaply as possible till you're able to use the skate park or wherever else you're looking at.
Okay, thank you. Who else would like to speak? Go ahead, do you have a question for Howie?
No, I mean, again, I think the Aresco would be interesting, but again, if we're gonna consider Aresco, I would always say basketball.
Okay, so who had their hand up first next? Whoever would like to come up and speak, are welcome to do so, please. Aresco?
It's, if you think about the semicircle on the other side of Borough Hall where the mailboxes are, and next to the basketball courts, that circular area is Aresco Park.
That green space.
If you could please give us your name and address.
My name is Anat, 46 Meadow Lane. So last time we talked, I was sure that we will have a dedicated space for pickleball, so we won't have to fight, and the net will be the net of the pickleball, because I'm sorry to tell you, but to do this and to lower and then to get it up, it's not logical. You don't do that. You can have a dedicated portable nets for pickleball, that's okay, but not to give them up and down, because then you measure, the kids don't know how to measure. And I'm feeling that you don't you don't, the older people, you don't take into account us, the older people, only the kids. The kids play in the morning, when I even play the big tennis, 8:30, I have sometimes 9, the high school tell me, okay, you cannot play in tennis, so pickleball the same, you cannot play. Why? I pay taxes, this is my time, I want to play pickleball in the morning, afternoon, but the morning is a good hour, it's not so sunny, and we want to play, you know? So I think you should consider the elderly people that still live in this town and not live in the town. We pay the taxes, we want dedicated pickleball court, even a little bench, we can talk around, we don't have to share, and we want to enjoy our life. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
My name is Jeff Levine. I live on Hillcrest Road in Tenafly. And the mayor brought up a good point before, how the game is played much differently than tennis. And where tennis, a game can go on for an hour and a half, pickleball is usually a 10 or 15-minute game. And that's important to know when it comes to reserving court time. Pickleball players just usually show up and they rotate in. So it doesn't seem logical for someone to call, reserve a court for an hour, then you show up and you have to wait for an hour for them to get off. Like I said, people just show up, 8 or 10 people at a time, and they rotate in. I think it's very important to have 1 or 2 dedicated courts for pickleball where you don't have to wait for tennis.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell
Come
Carol.
come to the microphone. Come to the microphone, it's your turn. Yeah, Omar will take care of that.
46 George Street. I have been a pickleball player for a bunch of years. If I want to play, I have to drive, okay? I work, and it makes it very hard. The closest courts to here are Beck, which is the county court, which has 6 courts.
Hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. Darrell, can you mute yourself, please? You have him on mute?
It's not
Okay.
your turn.
Go ahead. Right, it's not your turn yet. You'll get there, though.
Okay, so the courts are packed all the time. All the other towns are putting in courts, but they're restricted for non-residents. You can't play there. If I go to Fort Lee, I can only play in off hours, middle of the day when I'm at work. Last year, you put down hodgepodge lines on the tennis courts, which were cracked. I met this gentleman playing, I'd never met him before, but you know what, it's a community sport, okay, and that's really important to us. It's a great way for all the people in our community to come out and meet each other. And what Jeff said is true, we play open play. It's not like tennis where you reserve a court, it's the same 4 people playing for an hour and a half. We use an app, we sign up for it, 10 people could come out, we rotate in, okay, and it's what we love to do. And pickleball is a huge sport. We don't have as big a group here tonight because we only found out about this 2 nights ago. You really should put this on the agenda so people know what's going to be discussed. It would be very helpful. But as Jamie was saying, pickleball courts, you take a tennis court and you can make 2 pickleball courts. You can't do 3 or 5, it's 2, 4, or 6. Okay, and we really want dedicated courts. Sharing it with the tennis players, as you can see, I walked by the courts over here, there was a lesson going on the only court that was lined. Okay, there were families on the other courts. And you have 2 completely unusable courts that, if you resurface them, they could be 4 pickleball courts. And when somebody's not playing pickleball on them, they could be playing 4 square. I've seen people on there with dogs running around. But to have that space and not being able to use it is just a waste of the little space we have in this town. So we really feel strongly that we want dedicated courts. Lights would be great, the tennis players have them, the pickleball players should be able to have them as well. So, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yes, sir, then over in the back. Please come to the microphone, sir.
Jeff Koch, 18 Cherry Street. I'd like to know how we ensure that our courts are not being used by non-residents, which could be the problem.
Can't.
Who could answer that?
So there's all kinds of
Tennis,
different,
basketball, pickleball, whatever.
right, so it's all kinds of different answers. Like, so you mentioned basketball. We have the basketball court downtown. That, if I'm not mistaken, was built with federal and state money, which means literally anyone from anywhere in the United States can come play there because we use federal dollars to build it. And then you get down to the level of things the town has paid for on its own 100%, and then we can control who's able to go in there or not.
So the soccer
cage.
area as well, and
The soccer cage, that money was donated by Tenafly United Soccer, which does have members from different towns, so they made the donation to build that originally. It's built on town property. Jamie, you can answer the question of what kind of conflicts do we have there, or in general, that runs pretty well?
We have a lot of conflicts with non-residents because our gates are opened. So that's why we started the membership system. So residents could buy memberships and they could reserve courts.
Talking about tennis. Talking about tennis, right?
Tennis.
Tennis,
And be
okay.
able to get priority over the courts. Because we do have a permit board stating that our residents bought memberships and they have a reservation. So right now, that's our only way of keeping non-residents off the courts, but they're like highly used by non-residents at this moment, correct? Right.
well, it seems to me that in order to do something about that, we'd have more tennis time available if we could somehow restrict the courts to our own residents.
Yeah.
And if we do pickleball, how are we going to enforce that as well?
So, Jamie, let me ask a question, because I'm getting kind of confusing. So, are we limiting the tennis courts to just residents or not?
They're supposed to be for residents, but they're opened. There's no locks on the gates.
Or this is what we've been asking for.
Right.
Locks on the gates, just to deter non-residents, and also pros making money off the tennis courts, and being
Okay,
only
no, but it's a
available
very
for
valuable
residents.
point, because maybe 40% of the time it's being used by non-residents.
Oh,
and there we go.
100%.
Taxes for these
Right,
courts.
100% right.
So,
Yeah.
and likely to spend more money for courts, including pickleball should make sure that they're being used by residents.
Maybe that's part of the solution.
But
Yeah.
Which is-
Did we take open space money for any of those things? I thought that was a rule.
Well, the open space money, the borough's open space money, or Tenafly taxpayers' money.
But we never got county open space. I'm just asking the question as to maybe why that occurred.
So there, and Jamie, please feel free to jump in, but there's also the ability, for example, you had mentioned the soccer cage. There's permits that are issued to like Tenafly United for their soccer programs. Obviously, that's our soccer program. So I know that when residents have permitted use and they get priority for permits on our fields, when they have a permit, they can ask people that show up otherwise to leave because they actually have the permit for
They
that.
can ask people that are there to leave, and does the
So for
police
example, you
department-
have a men's
Does
soccer
somebody
league.
enforce that? I mean, if I was to ask somebody to leave who wasn't a resident, I mean, seriously?
There could be
Well-
enforcement from the police department if needed, but, you know, one example is
Well-
during COVID, it was very, very monitored because we were trying to keep cohorts separated, whatnot, and there were times when
Well,
Jamie did get calls having to enforce that.
Sure. I would suggest that we make sure all these areas are close together so that maybe we could have somebody whose job it is to monitor and
Get the code
somehow
for that.
enforce.
So it was still up in the air. I believe we only use open space money from our own budget, which means we can lock the facilities for memberships only.
That's what we did with the joint use. because-
Correct.
So can we just get those lots? And
Go ahead, Lauren, go ahead, then answer the question.
I'm dead set against locking up our facilities in town because our residents need to use them, and on the weekends,
all they have to do is sign up.
again, our residents cannot get in touch with our rec department on the weekends when a significant amount of them use courts and
The idea is
fields.
at the beginning of the year, you get the code. So like
Right.
I'm a member of the tennis, I got the code, I forgot it, but I got the code and I can use it 365.
But I walk with my kids at 9 o'clock at night in the summer, and we just go play tennis. I mean,
Again, it's just a balance.
Nobody's
and I
using
agree
it.
with the point, so either, again, it's for us to decide, 6 people, but
Perhaps we could somebody could do a survey to find out how many non-residents are actually using.
well, the other problem.
Can you do that? You have that information, or can you get it?
We just know by walking the courts. We monitor them through the day.
Okay,
You know, one thing
Yeah.
that's funny is James brought this to our attention
Right.
for years now, and we always looked at this.
Because my goal is to service the residents, right?
well, now we're
Which we
looking,
decided not to look at when.
but now we have a very practical reason why it makes sense.
And
Right.
she knows exactly,
Right.
she shared with us, that yes, people are walking their dogs and defecating on the courts
Yes.
because they're open for all. That was the idea why Jamie brought to our recommendation to get the locks. Again, whether we decide to do it or not, totally cool, but that's the reason. And to your point, you're absolutely right. It is not crazy to believe 50% of the people on the courts are not our residents. So we would double the capacity of our courts if we left it open to our residents. That's not.
Good suggestion, Jeff. Yes, Jeff over here.
So, good point. I think one of the things I've heard, and maybe our pickleball players can add to this, but I understand that it draws from multiple communities, that people go to other locations and meet up with people from many different towns, and that it becomes a larger community. So if we were to restrict it completely, it may be that you have to be with the Tenafly player, but if we completely restrict it to Tenafly only, then we might lose out on a lot of people coming to Tenafly to play pickleball and then go to places downtown and have a nice ice cream after a hot game.
How about if we find out what the extent of this problem is?
Right.
Before we start building more facilities for the benefit of non-residents. Oh, that's it.
Thank you, good comments. Yes, please, sir. Yes, also, no, you were up first. I was looking at the gentleman behind you and calling you up.
Karen Silver, Glenwood Road. Just a little bit of history when we keep talking about who's using and who's not. We've been asking for this for years. Some players are thinking it's recent, or some of the board members. 5 years ago, when the tennis courts were being redone, I asked for pickleball courts back then, and we were told they were going to be putting in 2 pickleball courts over 5 years ago. So where some people thinking, oh, let's do it overnight so we can finally play, this has been going on for years already. It was told after the courts were redone and they wound up all being tennis courts again, that the bid was already put in. So I'm going back a while saying that we've been asking for this, worrying whether other people from other towns are coming at this point. All towns, or so many towns at this point, have the courts, and we still do not have courts. We are so far behind the times. There are so many people playing that it is nuisances for other people. But to still be talking from a month ago when we were here saying there was money, we were going to get the courts, you needed to find out where. But we're sitting here tonight still saying, well, if you want to play now, this is what we need to do. Tennis players want to play, pickleball players want to play. We need an action at this point instead of discussing whether it should be done or not.
Thank you.
Michael Herbakowitz, 115 Sussex Road. It's a little, I'm here, I'm a wannabe future pickleball player. And the reason, to be honest, why I'm not playing is because there's nowhere to play in Tenafly. And I know shorthanded about 15, 20 people that would play in a heartbeat, but it's sort of like, I don't want to bother. And just to give you a little background, this whole session reminds me a lot of about 14, 15 years ago when there were, prior to Jamie, prior to Matt Mercurio, when we had Tony here. And all that was important in Tenafly was softball and football. Everything else didn't really matter. It was kind of on the back burner. And I think what we're asking for, what people here are asking for, is just something on preview where you have some equality in how you balance it. I'm not saying, and just to give you a little background too, when we started doing adult soccer, I don't know if many people know it, there's an adult soccer program in Tenafly, and I run it. And we started probably with, 15, 20 people, and it was struggle. We were getting put on the field by the rec department back then, on the back of Stillman, anywhere. We were at one time put on a field where the guys in softball were hitting balls at us so we could play. So I've gone through it, and I see this, and it's so frustrating to watch because all I see is people who are in town, and I think sometimes we lose direction of rec isn't just for kids. And I used to hear that when I used to play on the field, taking the field away from the kids. It's not an exclusive or taking away from the kids. It's having an adult community that's active. As we know, sitting is the new smoking, right? And we all know from COVID how horrible it's not to get out and the social aspects of that. And I think what you're missing here is the other piece that I feel, because like I said, I belong to the league now. We have probably 100 registered participants that are registered, 50 or 60 participate in any season. And when we started, we only played in the fall. And then we wanted to stay active, so we played in the winter. We played in the spring. We play through the year now, nonstop. That's where you'll see us on the field. So, and it's been, I will tell you, that 50% of it is about soccer. The other 50% is about the sense of community. Those of you know, when I was, you can see my hat, I was in the Air Force. There's a thing called esprit de corps. That's the closest thing I could tell you that I feel when I'm with the people that I know. I'm not best friends with everybody, but I care about them, and they're part of the community. And some people are from outside, because we allow, in a program, to have people come from other towns. Or I should say, there are ex-residents who lived in Tenafly that are kind of grandfathered in, because we're not kicking them out just because they moved. But I think you're missing another big point is, I always hear people, now that my kids have grown, kids have finished college, what's the first question? Anybody here who has that, when are you leaving Tenafly? And I think you're missing the point that you want to keep people living in Tenafly, make a good rec program. I'm staying in Tenafly because I love the soccer program, and I love the people who I play with. You're missing this, and you're going to have people who say, what's this town doing for me? We all know we pay high taxes, and we didn't mind it when our kids were in school. If I'm paying high taxes and you provide me with a great program, it's great. And I can't say enough about Jamie. She, compared to the people we had, and those who've been here for a while know what we went through, she's amazing, and all I always said is, keep things fair. I don't need you to give me everything soccer, just like we shouldn't have everything tennis. Just balance it. And maybe there should be dedicated courts, because it's all about balance, not about exclusivity. And I think that's the point we're missing, and I just want to make sure, excuse me, I'm a little nervous.
It's
I just want to
okay.
make sure you realize that. This is a great town, and I think it's a selling point to keep people in this town if you provide adult activities and stuff like that for them to participate. And that's really all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Said well.
Can I just say, my neighbor plays the adult soccer, so thank you for running that, because it literally, like, makes him so happy. I said, my neighbor plays the adult soccer, and Luca, yeah, and he just talks about it nonstop, and thank you for running that, so.
Yes, please. Please, and you're next, yeah.
about 29 years. I spoke last time, I don't have to repeat all the commerce that can come in and the community and playing with people from age 18 or younger to 90 on the courts together. As Michael was saying, we all talked about this last time. But we all walked out of here last time saying, well, they said there's money, and they said it's probably going to be on the old courts, the old skate park. And now we hear all these other things going on. We need these courts. I don't have to repeat what everyone else said. And the part about how we sign up and what we do to sign up, that's later. Like, that's just wasting our time here. Just get the courts, we'll figure it out. You have all these people that keep coming. Many of us would be happy to be on a committee with the rec to figure out how to sign up and how this program. Many of us belong to Harvard, White Claw, people playing Fairlawn. We know how the other towns do it. That's not the issue. The issue is just getting the courts and it all be figured out from them. And the community here is happy to help everyone do it.
Thank you. You just have to come up to the microphone, but of course. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah.
You know,
But technically, you have to say it again for the record.
Jeff Levine,
Yes.
Hillcrest Road in Tenafly. I played pickleball this morning in Glen Rock with a woman who lives in Fairlawn, and this is just to tell you how it's run. So she lives in Fairlawn. She went to Glen Rock to the town hall, paid $45, got a bar pass on her phone to show that she paid. So I think it's hard to regulate outsiders coming unless you have a full-time guard there. But as an honor system, you go to the town, you pay $40 or $50 for a year, you have a barcode on your phone, and it's done.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions from anyone or comments? Darrell, want to talk about this? Oh, come up. Darrell Walker wants to speak about,
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Darrell. Yep.
All right, great. Darrell Walker, I live in Westville, New Jersey, but I've been running the street fairs at Tenafly.
All right, hold on a second, Darrell, hold on a second. We're talking about pickleball right now, so just hold that thought, okay? You want to talk, unless you want to talk about pickleball.
Sorry, no.
Okay,
I
well,
didn't play pickleball.
okay, we'll get back to you, Darrell.
I'll be patient.
Thank you.
I'll be patient.
Thank you.
Too bad, Darrell. It's a great game. Mike Greeley, 158 River Edge Road. I'm the chair of the rec committee. I came here tonight because I heard that there was a groundswell of community members that were focused on doing something special here in town. And thank you all for coming out. I think it's great that you're here. Many years ago, I worked with Rob Silver on the rec committee, and yes, he was very passionate about pickleball, so I keenly remember that. But at any rate, the way I look at it very simply is this. We have folks in town that want to participate in a sport, and we don't have the facility exactly laid out for them to do that thing. I think what Jamie laid out succinctly is an opportunity for them to get moving ASAP. I think, dare I suggest that we allow a court to be used as priority for pickleball, and that's something the rec board can work with Jamie to accomplish, and allow that to take priority, with perhaps being the one exception when the high school team comes in. That has always been a priority for us to get them in and out as needed. I think in terms of the scheduling, we have an opportunity to expand our facilities from perhaps maybe just one court to 6 pickleball courts. And we can manage that with scheduling. And I know it was brought up before that we would have scheduling not similar to how tennis is scheduled, but perhaps block scheduling. We have one court that's priority for, and that would be 2 pickleball courts. On that furthest court, I would suggest, closest to the brook, allow that to take priority. And the other courts, we can block schedule to say, during these times, these other courts are now dedicated for pickleball use. We have competing interests, of course, with the tennis, and I love that we have a vibrant tennis community. Both of my children play tennis. I am worse for wear, and I cannot play tennis, but it's fun to watch. Well, guess what? Pickleball is also fun to watch, too. So I'm totally awesome. I think the idea is awesome, and I think that's something that we can commit to, but we can deliver on the promises that were out there to provide community-based recreation facilities for our community members. Things that I think are important to recognize are that the space that we've worked on now for some time with the open space area, the multi-use area, I think that serves the broader community. It's not just about the children, it's about all people in the community to be able to access that. And that's been an ongoing conversation, working through for many, many months, if not, I don't know, I think we're eclipsing maybe 18 months at least since we started trying to tackle that. The opportunities to play volleyball, Councilman Grossman, to your point, yes, I agree with you. I will not be digging into concrete, bad idea. But it doesn't take away from the other opportunities that space will be used for. And just what comes to mind is, when we're able to use just as an example, the ice rink. It's an awesome thing that we provide for our community. It'd be nice to have a dedicated home for that for a certain month or so of the year, where we're now able to use that space, allow the basketball folks to use their space. Also, I just want to double back in terms of the resurfacing. This has been an ongoing issue and concern that we've voiced and have managed at our level. When the courts were resurfaced last time, there was a major issue with I don't know if it was the equipment or the providers. They did a bad job. And so I don't know if that was litigated or there was a discussion about that. But nevertheless, it needs to be done, and this is something that we can move forward with. I think it's important to have these folks be part of the conversation. The rec board is open ears. We want to make this happen. I think it's important, though, that we don't rush into something that perhaps maybe we're all not happy with at some level. And so with their guidance, just like with the skateboard community, with their guidance, I'd like to be able to take this back to the rec board and be able to come up with something that's going to be workable, quick, and function moving forward. If you see fit to do that, that's wonderful. If you push forward and say, you know what, Jamie's plan here works, and we can get something rolling sooner than later, I think there's room here to work for everybody, so we can all be happy and make something happen for our community. Fair enough?
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you.
Yes, Julie has questions.
So I just wanted to make sure that everyone, but I don't think it's okay for you to sit down because it was more of a Jamie thing if you wanted to. Don't worry about that. Thank you for your presentation. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone on the council had heard what Jamie said at the end of her comments, which was this idea with the multi-use space possibly being partitioned off so we could have dedicated pickleball courts as well as then the other multi-use ability on this area of the old skate park. I wasn't sure if everyone heard that because there were some discussions.
Jamie, can you come
So
back up?
if
'Cause I
maybe you
didn't
could
hear
talk about
say
that. Yeah, yes, and
I would not-
before she
One at a time.
goes,
Let Julie finish it.
is just, I wanted to say, if that is a possibility, that might be the best of the win-win scenarios because we could still most likely get some county money for that. It gives our pickleball players their dedicated space, and it also allows, on the other side, the multi-use. So I wanted to hear more about that, and because I did know there were some discussions and talking, so I want to see what you could flesh that out.
So there's obviously always tons of options. We partition off, usually in the winter, the skate area versus the basketball area, so that's an option. It's not a long-term option, that's my honest opinion. It's probably something that would have to be gated off.
Wait, I'm sorry, just back up a second. We're talking about the old skate park area.
Right.
So then you started talking about the basketball.
So
thing.
the basketball court during the winter, we usually separate. We have a big netting that we separate both. It's a temporary option, more like a 2-month option. So if you're looking at something more long-term, you might have to gate it off. So a separator, some sort of, I don't know, maybe it could be a wall or, somebody can engineer something that makes sense. Or you could use off the wall, right? It might be something that could separate the two areas.
One of the things is tonight when Andy Hippolyte was supposed to be here, one of the thoughts I had was he was going to be talking a little bit more about that space. And I think that was mentioned previously. So when he's due to come back, if that's the space and we want to use that space for some pickleball courts, and we also have some prices about what it would be to convert one tennis court into 2 pickleball courts, 70,000 mentioned.
You're talking about the old skate park.
The old skate park, then it doesn't have to be 6 pickleball courts. I'm trying to go with the solution that gets some county money, that gets some multi-use, that gets our pickleball people with dedicated courts and benches they can sit on. And I'm just saying, because I agree with Councilman President Grossman about if we just narrow our focus, and then we can get things done faster. But I, for one, am not just about speed, just for speed's sake. I want it to be deliberative. And so in the sense of you're saying, yes, we could wall off this area, still keep multi-use on the other side, but have dedicated pickleball. We have this space, it's centrally located, it's not by houses, it doesn't cause problems with neighbors. To me, that's the, and we might get some county money. To me, that's the area to zero in on. You know, I'm just saying it's not a zero-sum game. Everyone could be pleased with that area.
And that area would have to be lit just to get maximum usage out of it.
But not necessarily right away. We don't light
Not right
it
away, right.
tomorrow. That could be phase 2 down the line. You see, part of our problem, and no offense to you, it's just sometimes we have these kind of large price tags, you know, that come out like, you know, if it's lit and resurfaced and then it's like, wow, that's $500,000, you know. So, you know, and when, you know, resources are finite and we have lots of groups that want different things. And I'm saying, how do we get there financially? You know, it makes a lot of financial sense that we have an area that's going to get some county money. And I'm just saying, we don't have to worry about lighting it right away. We could get some court time there. We have a lot of daylight that our residents can use. That's all I'm saying is, like, let's not get our cart before the horse, and let's maybe just like zero in on the place. We've got some money. We can maybe make it multi-use, but keep our pickleball dedicated. I think, to me, that makes the most sense.
All right, so Jeff and then Lauren.
All right, so I more or less want, we've beaten the dead horse here to some degree. So we know what we need to do. Jamie, Mike, thank you for your input, and I think this is a front burner now, and let's keep it on the front burner. So thank you for all the work on it and the comments. Everybody who plays pickleball and wants to play pickleball and is considering pickleball, thank you for coming out and providing us with your input. It's vital to understand the game and how it is working in other towns, how it's not working here. So I just want to thank everybody.
Lauren, please.
So I just want the pickleball community to understand, and I think the mayor's going to talk a little bit about process, but I want to talk about timing. The first request that Jamie made about resurfacing the tennis courts, which I do think is a good compromise, and Adam, I like your idea about an immediate now and, you know, a future plan. If we go with the immediate now, which is a shared tennis/pickleball, I like Mike's suggestion of block scheduling, some sort of compromise for the immediacy of it. We still, if you wanted to resurface that, need to bid that process out. That is a process that we cannot speed up. It is a bidding process. It might take a couple months. The last time we've resurfaced, just to understand, it was a little bit over $100,000, so it's not a nothing. And you know what, again, and I still think open space money is appropriate for that.
We can approve that tonight.
Yes, and that's one of the things I want to ask, is the request for open space to resurface. Two readings in a meeting, then a bid process. Yes. So again, like this, unfortunately, cannot, you know, if you want to plan the courts as is today, we can get that going. If we want a resurfaced, relined court, that will be a couple months to 6 months, so forth process. If we want to wait that out, get a designated court only, and we need to find property, bid it out, get engineering, get design on that, get lighting, that's probably a 1 to 2 year process. So again, some of this is out of our control as we sit here. We can right now, with Jamie's suggestions and Mike's suggestions, put up nets, put up lining on the existing courts, get this going at least so you can play here. We can then try to, like I say, resurface you got to come back up, I think. Some of this, I understand the frustration. Some of this is government-required process that we have no ability to speed up.
I wish I had my map.
Sorry, Linda Pollock again. Have any of you actually gone and seen the condition of those tennis courts?
Yes, I have.
It's terrible.
I'm on them all the time.
Pickleball.
The cracks are huge.
Tennis is completely different than pickleball.
Yeah.
Pickleball, you're playing with a very special wiffle ball. Okay, you cannot play on those courts.
They're cracked.
Okay, we tried last year and it was ridiculous. Plus, the fact that we have crooked lines on them doesn't help either. I mean, this is like kind of a joke. We've been asking for these courts for years. Okay,
So-
we feel like you keep saying you're gonna get them, you're gonna get them, but when is something really going to happen? Okay,
All
we're
right.
tired of hearing about things are gonna happen and they don't. I've lived here for 31 years. Okay, I remain in Tenafly because I like Tenafly. I continue to pay my taxes. And when I moved here for my kids. Well, guess what? My kids are grown and gone. Okay, now I'm here and I want a community to be able to play the sport that I love. I pay to go play at Wyckoff. They have a kid at a gatehouse. I have to show my pass to show that I play. Okay, but that's half an hour. I go to Fort Lee, I sit in traffic. That's 25 minutes. I go to Overpeck. It can be anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes. Okay, I live in this town, I work. I don't have time to be driving a half hour each way to play a sport that's my exercise. That's where I get to see my friends. Okay, this is a community thing. People said, it brings people in. Okay, our town needs visitors to come spend money here. Okay, this is a way to get people to actually use our town. Because you know what? People in Tenafly disappear. We go to Englewood, we go all over the place for dinner. But you would like to get people in the town to have lunch, okay, do some shopping, okay? It's all a good thing for our community, but I want to meet more people in my community. And I can't do that going to Leonia and Fort Lee and Wyckoff, okay? So it's important that we get these courts, but we want courts that we can get on, okay? And that's really the key thing. We want our courts. We want courts that we're not going to be chased away by tennis players, okay, or anybody else.
All right, so I think the most succinct thing I heard tonight was from Howie, where he said, you can't rob Peter to pay Paul, and that's a very simple sort of concept, and I happen to think that trying to convert the tennis courts into a multi-use thing, I mean, I wouldn't play basketball on a football field. There are limits, they're different sports, and I don't play either, but from what I'm understanding, they're completely different, and that how people use them are different. I think we should just use the old skate park, figure out what it's going to cost, and then just build the pickleball, and then the separate, and then, well, hold on a second. But we have to figure out what it's going to cost, and if the tennis courts need to be repaired, then the tennis courts need to be repaired.
Okay, I will,
Right?
I'm just going to say,
Well, you get to vote on it, so that's how it goes, right? I'm not, it's not fiat, you get to vote on it. Go ahead.
I absolutely want designated pickleball courts.
That's what I'm talking
I also
about.
want immediate ability for our town to play. However, I will not do that at the cost of reducing the amount of multi-use sport playing that Jamie and Mike have just pushed, and we finally passed. That multi-use can be used for so many different ways, so many different things. To now just steal it and take it and just throw the pickleball courts on it is a true disservice for what the rec department has been asking for. We have the swim club property. We have other
And maybe,
areas
you're
to
right,
consider.
maybe that's a place we could put it too.
And again,
But it needs to be a
the community
dedicated court.
also has to understand if they want to play the fastest way you can play, and I get it. It is not ideal. I can't play tennis on those courts. I don't expect you to enjoy that with pickleball. If you want to play immediate, then it's a shared service for a little bit of time until we get a designated.
Hold on a second, time out. I have a question for Jamie.
I
Wait a minute, time
understand
out, everybody.
it's not ideal.
Jamie, I have a question for Jamie regarding the multi-use court. In terms of, do you happen to know off the top of your head how big that is? And can pickleball be one of the?
It's 2 regulation-sized tennis.
And it needs to be for any hockey, volleyball.
Okay, so too many people are talking, we'll get absolutely nothing done. So explain to me what you mean by that.
So the multi-use cage consists of 2...
Come to the It's
2 regulation-sized tennis courts That's what is laid there. So you could do one court with 2 pickleball courts.
Right. You could put
With
two
two
pickleball
portable
courts in the
nets.
multi-use area.
And then a whole, I think, I have in my diagram, you see. So you could, you know,
And then use the
Could do-
other half for other multi-use purposes.
Yes, that's
Okay.
it would have to be separated. You
We're trying
can't
to get some
play
clarity on
everything
it to
all at
move it
once.
forward.
Right.
Old skate park,
Yeah.
tennis court.
Okay. Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Helen Bernstein, Lawrence Parkway. I just don't want, I appreciate what's going on here, I really, but what I don't want to happen is that you go to all this effort and put in 2 courts, because then you're still going to have a very unhappy pickleball community. We need at least 4 courts in this town.
Well, it's like anything, we have to start,
Yeah.
the quicker we want to move, we have to
I'm
start
just saying
somewhere.
that I know
Understood.
I'm not talking about the temporary, I'm talking
Right,
about
right.
if you're going to do designated courts,
Right,
2 is not going to cut it.
okay.
There's probably 100 people in Tenafly who play pickleball.
Understood.
Way
Yeah.
more.
So-
Yeah, exactly.
Way more.
Yeah.
Probably. Go ahead, Howie.
Howie Seiden, 88 Willow Lane. So like I said, in Jersey City, they converted this ice rink in 4 days. So that lot by the high school is not being used for the next month and a half. See what you can,
What do you mean the lot, but, you mean the main parking lot?
yeah, a small area.
Okay, so that-
You've got a
that
swim club.
just became, there's a lease with the swim club for that, so that's a whole nother level of complications.
I'm
right?
sure they'll be willing to work with you.
Perhaps, yes, but.
But in the meantime, if you could speak to them, and maybe you can set something up temporary to make these people happy for a month, they at least get to see, and you can see what goes on there, and then with eyes on, you can proceed from there.
Okay.
It's just a
Thank
quick
you.
fix. It only.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I don't know the cost to make something temporary, but, you know.
Right, it's hard to engineer on the fly.
Or even the oval over here, if you could do it there.
So Julie's suggestion about using it for the dual purpose. Okay. Any other
Well,
comments?
I think we need to make a decision here, so.
Well, that's where we're about to go.
So-
So it sounds like we,
I'd like to, my question on the table is, I'd like to use open space to resurface our tennis courts right now and reline them, and purchase the nets right now to have, what do we need, at least 4 courts for pickleball, tennis/pickleball conversion courts, which become designated pickleball courts. I mean, Jamie, which courts are you recommending? 5, 6, 4, 5? What?
I'm not sure if that's what the council is right now.
Well, I'm asking for resurfacing money for open
Okay,
space.
so,
So that's the question on the table. I'd like a vote on that.
so you want to vote on resurfacing, but this is off the topic, though.
It's not.
You want to vote on, so you want to call a question
I want to call a
about
question on putting open space to resurface the courts,
the tennis courts,
tennis courts,
for use as tennis courts.
for use as both.
Okay,
Just resurfacing.
just
Tennis or-
resurfacing.
Tennis or pickleball, it's a paint job.
Correct.
So let's focus on resurfacing. for sa-
Resurfacing. The
for
question on the
safety.
table
For
is
safety.
open space to resurface.
I think just because we have all the people in the audience now, and I hear what Councilwoman Dayton is asking, I just don't think that that's the question for this moment. I think that if we could, because the idea about resurfacing and how is that necessary and how's that paid for, I remember Council President Grossman mentioning about how it wasn't brought up at budget time, or how it should have been known.
This is open space, Julie. It's different.
But again, that's also taxpayer money, okay?
For this.
Right now, I think that the question of the multi-use area, the dedicated area, we've heard time and again that they want, that our pickleball players want dedicated space. I think there's other areas of win-win. I would say the question to be called would be the area of the old skate park. And we talk about the resurfacing of the tennis
I want to vote.
court another time, because
Okay.
it's big money.
So, but a question's been called by a council member.
Oh,
Okay.
I guess someone
You
has
have to
to
vote.
second it.
Someone has to say, is there a second on
Anyone
this?
who wants a second? Thank you, Adam.
Okay, so Omar, call the roll.
Okay, this is the question to resurface the tennis court with open space funds?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, can I ask for clarification before I vote?
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, this is really a side topic.
It's a
but-
side topic.
The clarification I'm looking for, are we talking about the 4 courts plus the 3, bringing in a contractor to do 7 courts? Are we talking about the 3 courts? Are we talking about doing 1 court? Because that's a huge difference in terms, and also, we have, what time frame we're looking at for this that we're rushing?
Courts 1 and 4 need work.
Because
I'm trying to get this surfaced.
Does
before
1
the
through
winter.
4 need work?
Yes, they all, yes, all 7.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
The
That we're-
resurfacing,
Okay, so.
audience, please, the
Okay,
resurfacing
Lauren.
affects all the courts, whether they're pickleball or tennis. If we can resurface.
Just to explain to everyone, a council member has called a question on a topic. They're entitled to do that. Someone seconded it. We have to have a vote on it. Okay, so Jeff, are you satisfied with the understanding or?
The
7, I'm for 7 courts right now, 7. It gives us the most,
The cost,
it's about 100K, it was 120 something thousand, and we actually got a grant, part of a
Well,
grant.
That is not
money has to be,
listed.
you're
I'm
asking.
asking for open space right now.
You're asking for open space money to resurface the tennis courts as tennis courts.
with,
I don't
She
think
got-
they can get lined either way.
Jamie got us a quote for 3 courts, minimum, the smallest
Jamie,
one
they
is
can get
210.
lined either way, right? When resurfaced,
210.
they can get lined either
All
way.
right,
One of the,
guys.
I'm
you can't-
sorry.
Okay, we're in the middle of a vote now, so it's not about getting people to come up and continue their presentations. Nothing against you, Jamie.
Okay, I just
Okay?
wanted
The
to-
question is
the
where the
cost.
council.
Oh, Jamie was clarifying the price, I'm sorry.
You can't, we don't have any.
can you,
Do her proposal, which is 3 courts.
Okay,
wait. The price of 3 courts is,
210.
drum roll?
I got 3 prices, 210,000, 240,000, and 228,000.
That
Those are
literally,
3 quotes.
that's doubled in 5 years, Jimmy.
Andy Hippolyte gave one of the quotes.
But is this something that can be done this summer, or is it something that's in a year?
The contractors are behind, so it'll take a few months.
I don't even know why we're talking about this right now.
right, I mean, no, this has to go through 2 readings for open space. This is a whole open, full bid process. So where are we? Go ahead, Jimmy.
Sorry, just to add in, I know you're in the
Start
middle of
somewhere.
a motion, but yeah, this would have to be fully bid, engineers, proposal, engineering plans, full vote.
Okay, Omar, where are we?
Okay, we're ready to call the vote.
Go ahead.
Okay. Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
All right, so given 7 courts, $70,000, about $500,000. At this point, no, I want to focus on pickleball.
Councilmember Menon?
No.
Councilmember Michaels?
This is for pickleball and everything else.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
No.
It is.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Ty,
Oh, it's a tie? So
Yes.
it's my decision again? No,
can I ask why?
because I want to build separate pickleball courts. It doesn't make any sense to build them together. They're
But
different
understand,
games.
if you pave them now, in a couple months, you can line designated pickleball courts with brand-new paved courts. That was,
No, that would be like saying.
Yes,
we
you can.
We can pave it now and put up basketball and use them for a combination of basketball. That's how I'm saying it.
You're not right.
They're professional
You're not
football
right.
players. There are similarities. When you say basketball and football, you're saying something absolutely
You're actually wrong on that one.
I understand.
Can I call
All right,
my
okay.
question
Wait,
to
hold on,
order?
can I just make a
One
comment?
at a time. Go ahead, Lauren.
The reason I would like to resurface is because what I just heard from our pickleball community is that even if we wanted to try to get them more immediate courts, all the courts right now are in such a poor condition, they don't want to play on them. Had we gone through and just voted yes on that, we would move forward to fixing areas that we already have lit, spaced, caged, and then we could reline them for designated pickleball courts after the
We
surfacing.
could have chosen one of those courts to be a
To be
dedicated
100%
court.
pickleball.
That is lit. We just voted against. Could have been a dedicated pickleball court. That is.
I am moving you forward. I am trying to move it forward faster for you.
So can I call my question to order?
Go ahead.
So I'd like to propose the multi-use space as being considered for engineering to include some dedicated pickleball courts.
I'd
That
like
would
to
be
hear
what
from
I-
Jamie whether that would take the whole space.
I second that.
If you just do 2 courts, it doesn't.
But they want 4 courts.
Then you'll take the whole space.
Courts makes 4 pickleball.
It'll,
Yeah, but this is for half.
This would be
The
for
proposal's
half.
for half.
For half.
How many courts are there? 2.
There's 2 there now.
But again, just as a reminder, and I just confirmed with the borough administrator, this is more than a year out.
We've already been waiting years.
No,
This now they-
I'm a good
All
friend.
right,
I'm just
so
saying, it's not this summer.
They
So
would've
it's
played.
been seconded. So,
Go ahead. So there's a motion on the floor.
Councilman Grossman
sorry.
seconded it.
I second it.
I need more information on this. I'd like to hear from the rec department on this one.
Well, can I just?
Go ahead.
May I weigh in for a second? And I'm not in the business of making enemies here, and this is obviously a hotbed topic issue. But as a point of procedure, the courts are the domain of the rec committee. And here you are, kind of shouldering in on that. I think this is something that the rec committee should be able to vet, work with our community members, the stakeholders here, and do it the right way. And if I'm wrong, I don't know what I'm pretty sure the ordinance allows this to be in the domain of the rec committee. And so, forgive me for pointing this out, but I think you might be, out of line.
Well, I'm trying to go off
all
Jamie's
respect.
recommendations for the paving, to try to get that going.
So, Omar, where are we?
Okay, so this is a question to use multi-use space for dedicated pickleball. And there was a motion by Dr. O'Connor and a second by Councilman Grossman. Okay, so I'm ready to call the vote.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Dayton.
No.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Councilmember Menon.
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't understand. We're choosing, again, Jimmy just clarified, this is something that we put to the county, right? We came up with a plan for the multi-use. And then, but we still haven't heard back yet, right?
Yeah, we did. I thought we did.
So we will be awarded. They said actually, sorry, I apologize. For this, we submitted only.
We submit, so we haven't been.
No.
So now are we
Probably
pulling
will.
that? Are we pulling
Yes.
that before the county? That's why I said, I
No.
need to hear from the rec department.
We're probably gonna get something.
So
We
it
just
was
don't know
submitted
what.
only, it's still in the county review phase.
So if you were to be awarded monies from the county for this space, you would have to put in,
Scope
at that
change.
time, for a revision, an amendment to the scope.
Is it possible that we could lose it and afterwards if they don't approve that revision?
It's a paint job.
If they don't approve the revision, you would go back to what was there, or you would walk away from it.
But it's unlikely because it would stay as multi-use and it's a paint job.
The
right?
This is the same,
county
this
it
is the
needs to be-
same question that came up with the swim club site of even after the county gave us the money, can we make changes? And the answer was a very clear yes. So this is really no different than that situation. And that was yes on many occasions, because that question was raised many occasions in this chamber. And it was clear that you're not so locked in. This is still multi-use, it's just adding an
One of the
additional,
multis.
So, but
one of the
just
multis.
for clarification though, there's a difference between making it as something that's multi-use, which I'm totally for, that makes sense, versus we're dedicating, we're taking away 50% of what the rec committee is recommending to dedicate this to something else. So it's multi-use for half, and then it's dedicated for something else, right?
well, the more things that are on there, that's multiple by definition.
It's a multi-use site.
The grant application was for a larger area than just this one specific area.
It's for
It-
Roosevelt.
it-
Oh, Roosevelt.
It also included
Wayfinding.
improvements to the soccer
Soccer
cage.
cage.
It was a big,
Right.
so that it all fell under multi-use. I would have to defer to the grant writers as to whether or not this is a change in scope or if it's within the multi-use. But either the way, the county does allow you to put in a request for change in scope, and they generally, if not always, approve it.
I don't think we just understand. I have to just go notice, because I don't think our own town understands exactly what we need to do. It sounds inconsistent with what the professional that we pay on a daily basis.
Okay, Omar, continue. Where are we?
Councilmember Dr.
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Okay. You just lost half your multi-space to pickleball.
You just gained a whole new use
Okay.
part of the space.
So now, what is the process to repave the old skate park into pickleball? Now I want to hear that
You
process.
have to wait to win the award, end of summer possibly, bid it out. So hopefully, maybe if we're lucky by next summer,
So-
we'll have it.
So Jimmy will put a plan together, come back to the council. with execution.
You had something to say, Wendy?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, if I may, Mayor, I think this will be, to your point, what you just said, that's correct. I think it would be useful for Andy, since he'll be at the next meeting, to maybe
Yes.
touch on this, to kind of give his recommendation, because Recreation and Andy would have to team up. They would have to look at all the quotes and proposals that were supplied, and then also kind of guide us a little bit through the grant process, which can be done. It's just a matter of formality and county consideration, but it's usually never been an issue as long as it's eligible in general under the grant guidelines.
Also, Jamie, please have a weigh-in with Jimmy in terms of the process, execution, okay, together to get that underway, all right?
So how quickly can, Jimmy, are we talking about? I just want the public to hear.
If I can just weigh in on this one, no matter what the questions were that were called at the dais this evening, there is nothing on the agenda that is moving forward with appropriating any money.
Correct.
That wasn't on here to use any funds, whether it's out of general budget, whether it's out of open space, no matter what it is, it's either bonding. When it's open space, the money's already there, so it's what's called an appropriation ordinance, which is literally appropriating money from one basket to another. So right now, it's in your open space fund, and it would be appropriated to a project once you know how much that might be. That will still take 2 more council meetings, because ordinances require a public hearing, which means they're introduced at one meeting, if the council votes to introduce it, and then at the next meeting, the floor is open to the public to weigh in before adoption after second reading. So just keep in mind that there will be still more steps that have to follow, no matter what the questions were that were called and which option you were choosing. It's still 2 more meetings.
Jeff, please.
And just to help get nets, I understand, I think they're called the United States Pickleball Association or some such name, actually has small grants for towns that want to buy nets and/or other equipment, so we should take advantage of that. It's not a lot, but we need more in case those don't hold up and for future.
I just wanted to say, for the residents who are here, the good thing about our borough engineer coming to the next meeting about looking at that space is that also it will assist us with the directionality of the pickleball courts, because I spoke to my friend who's an avid pickleball player, and I know that it's very important if it's east to west or north, right? Some of you are shaking your head, and where the sun is at the certain time of day. So I think that's also the type of stuff we want to look very deliberatively at, so you have something that you are happy to play on.
Okay, all right, well, don't you have clarity on what to do next?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
we'll go
Thank
into
you.
execution mode with that. Thank you for everyone who came out to talk tonight
Thank
on this
you.
topic. We appreciate it.
When is the next meeting?
August 7th.
7th.
August 7th.
Monday, 7
Monday.
p.m. Just for clarity, because I know there may have been some confusion, our summer schedule is a little bit different than the normal schedule for the council meetings. That's also a Monday at 7 p.m. as opposed to Tuesday at 7:30.
So does everyone have clarity on what the vote?
So what decided is
Decided?
that 2 people vote on the open space?
At the old skate park, correct, that's correct.
And it will
Separate
take-
from the tennis
It will
courts.
take months to create.
Like everything.
I understand, yes. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the solid waste collection discussion.
Yes.
Jimmy? What? Wait for people to leave. What? Nobody wants to stay for the garbage discussion?
I mean, we just literally took a multi-space thing for numerous different things.
I think the kicker is Mike gave the answer that they could have, there could have been a dedicated pickleball court tomorrow morning. Mike recommended, and this council said no to that.
But it was never going to be tomorrow morning if the
Okay.
tennis courts
So
were in
let's
such
keep
bad
moving,
state.
let's keep moving forward
I said
to, guys,
resurface.
let's keep moving forward to the next topic.
I didn't say how
I just want the public to understand that we approved a multi-space, multi-sport, different area that Jamie pitched numerous ways, and we have just taken that space and just turned it into only one sport. I'm just
It's
saying.
not, it's still multi-use, only half of it's being used for pickleball.
It is not that big, and no longer can you have roller
So
hockey, no longer can you have
Let's not have conversations
softball
about
practice.
square footage and theory. Jimmy's gonna go into execution mode, show us what it's all about, and we go from there, we get the engineer involved, and we see what it looks like,
Let's move forward.
right? Okay? All right,
Solid waste.
go ahead.
So we received bids on June 29th for the solid waste collection. We received 2 submissions and very competitive. We currently have, our current service is option 1 with Waste Industries. At a 5-year contract, they came lower as the lowest bidder. They came the lowest bidder in, I think, a number of categories. We met with the DPW engineering group to try and be able to come up with a recommendation. We wanted to discuss with the full council to gain some direction. So if the council is happy with the current service, level of service, that is currently option 1 with the same vendor. So it would just be a continuation, but of course, we're happy to answer any questions on any of the other options.
Clarification, I apologize.
Yeah.
I tried, I even looked it up on Google.
Yeah.
The options like 4 and 5 and 6,
Yeah.
they're just testing me, I'm sure. It says twice and once.
So I could clarify. So just two things. 4, 5, options 4, 5, and 6. Actually, one of the recommendations were to not consider. We carry that from the last bid spec just because it was easier just to try and be able to get different options. But what that means is for either, I think, 9 months of the year, you're picked up twice a week, and then the remaining months, the 3 months, are once a week. So that's why it changes with
Summer and
correct, pretty much, yeah.
You know,
That's the
basically, put
difference.
this another way, for options 4, 5, and 6, based on the pricing of both bidders, you can see neither of them want to do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the realistic recommend, and I don't want to speak on behalf of anyone, but what we came out of that group is 4, 5, and 6 is probably not feasible. And just for purposes of for the council's edification, option 1 is currently what we have.
Questions?
Past 5 years.
So can I just add a little flavor to this? So Jeff and I and the DPW committee and Jimmy, thank you, we're all on this call debating. We eliminated 4, 5, and 6 because those are not enough garbage pickup throughout the year. We eliminated them also. So we were considering options 1, 2, and 3. And the big difference, of course, is curbside versus rear yard collection, like Jimmy said. There is a cost savings, but it is at the expense of asking our public to bring their garbage to the curb. The mayor is concerned that we would lose services, that, you know, the perception is that we were reducing services. Cutting services. I thought maybe cutting taxes or reducing expenses might be a better option. But what I'd like to hear is public comment, actually. And I'm not sure we have any on the waste collection versus rear versus curbside collection. And again, there is a option here that even if we did curbside, you can have a designated number of still rear that sign up, but we're not really sure how that would work. We're not sure how many people would take us up on that. So, Mayor, can we hear from the public?
Sure, we could, yeah, we'll have, hold on a second, but before, let's go through the council members. Yes, Panu, next.
Yeah, just a question, you know, we see what the proposals are, but it would be nice to have a comparison. What are the comparisons?
Exactly.
Do you have the chart?
No, not between, not
20 is too low.
Prior.
Yeah, I apologize, we could provide that, but what we are currently paying per year is $895,000 per year, which is, this reflects just a tad over a 14% increase per year at an average of 1.023 million per year. So from 895 to 1.023 million.
1.02 on which one?
So the lowest bidder, so it would be Waste Industries, 5 years. Currently, if we wanted to continue. Yeah, correct, per year. And that would be an increase from 895,000. So it's a little over 14%, yeah.
So it's not as significant as it would have been, or what we were getting before.
Yeah, market trend, while it's a 14% increase, that is large, but you've seen other municipalities get a 40, 50+% increase. So thankfully we got two, they were competitive. And I just want to point out between these pretty much realistic two or three options are and what we currently engage waste industries with.
You'll have an opportunity, yes.
So do you need like?
Go ahead, Julie.
Do you need direction from the county?
Essentially, yes. It would be good from with the council. I know there's questions about, the different options, the rear yard versus curbside. And it's really just up to, really comes down to the council's decision on whether they want to continue with that rear yard service for, at the increase from year to year. Again, that's come a little bit better than what we've seen in the market trend, or if they want to have a different direction.
And curbside, the price would be?
It comes.
Option A.
It's.
No,
Option one.
Option one is rear.
I'm sorry, option one is rear, option two is
option two.
curbside.
So you'd see the increase, I think it comes out to the difference of like $73,000 a year per year, and then of course over a 5-year contract.
Oh, so really wouldn't be? We wouldn't feel that as a town.
That's up for discussion, correct?
Yeah.
I think that's the big
So
philosophical.
the philosophical question is, a 14% increase to keep
Same level of
the
service.
side yard pickup, that's the question.
I just want to put a disclaimer, I'm sorry if I missed it, but the actual responses are still under review, so there's nothing that.
Oh, yeah, we know it's no vote or anything, and it's not.
Just
it's
in
not
general, for the public to understand, they're not available for public yet, they're still in internal review, so this is just a
Honestly,
discussion as
though,
part
like,
of that.
and this is a question for the mayor, like, so I have an opinion on this, and that's
What's
what
your
every
opinion?
council person has an opinion on.
Yes, 'cause
How important is the side yard
Buster
versus
loves
the
this.
curbside?
So he would've done
Is this possible, since this is still
Say yes.
like a debatable thing, or we have like a smidgen of time, is this possible to do any sort of polling the community? Like, is it a way we
Well,
can
we
ask
could
this
certainly,
question?
we could certainly invite
Drive
everyone to
through
come
town
in.
on a trash night.
Keep in mind, to consider the separate option, the curbside, we'd be cutting services, and the
Keeping the same price.
and the difference in the price is $29 a year per house.
I bring my stuff out every day, I didn't even realize.
I never bring my stuff to the curb. We pay for rear yard pickup.
I think more people are like Adam.
Go ahead.
No, a lot of people bring it to the curb because they see it on
It
garbage
depends.
day.
You get extra steps, it's a good thing.
But, so what were you gonna say, Mr. Mayor? Like, this
I was
is-
going to say, I don't think we should be cutting services for the residents, for what's an
You feel that the
insignificant.
majority are used to I'm just trying to get a sense of it.
I'm getting a sense that the people who use it like the
Like
rear
it.
yard pickup.
But to the tune of a 14% increase, I'm just asking.
So the 14% increase is a function of where the garbage market is. You're getting an increase no matter what.
Well, no, we're not.
It is an increase no matter what.
No, not.
No, because on the option two, you would be going down, right?
But this,
No, Jimmy said the increase.
14% is the increase from the rear yard to a new contract for rear yard. That's the
Right.
14%.
Right.
Right, that's
So-
the option one.
So
But,
Jimmy
right,
was
because you
saying that
currently
it's.
have option one as your.
That's our current service.
now.
Right, and if we went to the front yard, it really stays roughly the same price that we're paying now. So that's really my question.
Sure, you're looking at apples and oranges, but yes, roughly.
So,
Right.
can I,
Do you want to cut
Do you wanna cut the
services?
service
For
to
the
save the
current
same
Right.
price?
so,
That's the question, and I
Right.
don't know that we're equipped without really knowing what the people want.
so.
Go ahead.
so,
Laura, and then
I
Jimmy.
agree. I definitely want to hear from the
Yeah.
population, although I'm not sure we'd survey and get a significant amount of people to respond. But at the 5-year mark, in the length of the contract, understand there's a difference of, I don't know, $700,000, something like that? Look at the 5-year, I can't do math, I can't look. It's $5,115,000
It's
versus
$147,000 per year difference. If you-
per year. But understand, over a time period, what, you can actually do a project with that that money. And
Well,
again.
I'm just saying, I don't know that we have, I mean, I love my rear yard pickup. I just don't know, when he didn't even know it existed. I just.
He needs to pay attention more.
I'm trying to get, that's when I bring it back to this idea of a poll or some sort, I just don't know that we know what people.
So the option I like, by the way, is the one where at least 20% can opt in, because I do say some of our seniors, some of our differently abled, they will need that rear yard pickup. I don't want to eliminate that service for some of our population, you know, but again, I'm not sure that not half our town is already bringing it to the curb.
I don't
Adam,
know
you're not
that.
the only one. You're not
Yeah,
the only
so,
one. Half my
go
neighbors
ahead.
bring it out.
Jimmy.
Just two quick items. Julie asked earlier about the timing. I think realistically, September award, we would have to get an extension with the potential lowest bidder contractor.
You can answer by September.
I think ideally.
So we need to award within 60 days of opening. The bid opening was.
June 29.
I believe June 29th, that last Friday or Thursday. So really, it would be the last week of August, but we would ask, because we have a meeting the next week, we would ask the bidder to hold the bid
Right.
for an extra week.
Yeah.
And we can invite the public to come to the next council meeting.
But that's
Yes,
not
Jeff.
representative. I mean,
But that's how the process works, right?
We need to get
Yes, Jeff.
some.
Just, this is a question for Wendy, actually, since this is still under review, as you said.
Yes, I would
So-
prefer we not speak
Right,
exact
right.
numbers.
So
It's
my
still under
question,
review. It's not a public document.
my question is then, since it's still under review,
Yes.
at what point, though, is that a locked-in number that we can rely on, any of these numbers?
So these numbers are locked in. What our review process right now is to make sure that the responses are actually conforming responses. The number is the number, but, you know, it may be that the lowest responsible bidder didn't submit paperwork that needed to be submitted, in which case, you know, it's either curable or it's not. If it's not curable, you're down to the next one. So in that respect, the numbers would still hold true as to who is the lowest bidder, if the response is conforming.
And the only thing that can change the numbers is some external force like the state or county changing fees that they charge.
No, but it's worth noting that when this is for the collection, your disposal is a different contract
Correct.
that you enter into with the county.
That's what the BCU is.
Correct.
But they have licensing.
So that's not in this
concerns.
number. That's
Okay.
not incorporated in these numbers at all. That's a separate contract.
Yeah, correct. That's a separate bill. We pay about like $80, $70, $80 a ton for. That's a completely separate bill.
So that's where it behooves the residents, if they want to bring the numbers down, to produce less garbage.
Yeah, and
Jimmy,
just
go
to,
ahead.
and just to add a couple items, because I did ask Waste Industries, who happens, you know, who's our current waste hauler, while we were going through this process, and the owner, and he goes out on rides, very involved, what percentages of our resident base utilize a rear yard pickup, and he said it was in the tune of 70% or so.
Oh, okay.
Which is-
Well, that's
and-
good data right there.
Yeah, and then, I mean, and honestly, in my office, we receive the garbage complaints, and, you know, I will say it's a very desired service. We, you know, we
So
get
that-
a lot of complaints with this in terms of the pickup didn't come 20 minutes ago when they usually come. Where are they? So it is,
So that's
you know.
good information,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
But I would recommend
is
that if
annoying
we
when they
could
miss your house
advertise it in
yard.
some capacity,
very
maybe on the mayor's Friday message, to say this will be discussed on August 7th. Let's just throw it out to the people, and that was really good data. About 70% are using this. Adam's in the 30, but 70, and so now we know that, and now the people know that if we want to keep this service, though, it will come at a cost. That's all I'm just saying. The transparency of it, that's all.
I mean, Jimmy, I have to say, I would love to go back, and I'm not sure this is negotiable, but where it says 20%, then we say 30%.
No.
You'd have to rebid the whole
Can't do
thing.
it.
I'd have to go out all
Okay.
over again.
Got it, because we're not that far off.
It's also 300K off for 80%. It's not even worth it.
Oh, Vanu, please.
Yeah, so it just, Wendy, I have a
30K.
quick question.
I think
Go ahead.
So
Hold
we
on,
have-
one at a time, Vanu has the floor.
We need to respond back by August 29th, right? The 60 days?
Yes, but the law allows you to ask the bidder to hold their pricing for extra time period. So we would ask them to hold it to the meeting the following week.
The following meeting after
Yes.
the August 7th. So we would,
I think it's December
have the
5th, 6th,
ordinance-
7th, something like that.
Okay, so we would do the ordinance, or the first reading.
No, this is awarded by resolution.
Okay.
It's a contract.
Jeff, did you want to make a comment about the carding? Please come up.
Jeff Koch, 18 Cherry Street. Okay, so what we're talking about is we'd save $30 a year on the average homeowner's taxes by not having rear yard pickup. Well, first of all, there's no such thing as rear yard pickup. I don't know anybody who puts their garbage out in the rear. Everybody puts it on the side of the house, okay? So why don't we just change that term, make it side yard pickup, and maybe you'll save some money. But, okay, I already have 2 garbage cans on the driveway with wheels.
Yeah.
Which I didn't have before, so the house looks like crap. Now I'm gonna have to have a 3rd garbage can on the driveway for waste management, and we'll chop the wheel out. Okay, I think it's disgusting. And for $30 a year, I'm happy to pay these guys, who I think are very, very industrious, and they work hard, and they're nice. Come to the side of the house and pick up the garbage. They don't drop stuff on the street, okay? They clean up after themselves. If I put something out, larger, they pick it up, they take it. So I'm very happy with the situation that we have now. And sure, it's going to be more expensive. The last 5 years, we've had 20% inflation. So that's just the way it is, guys. Okay? But for $30 a year, I'm happy to pay it for them to come to the side of the house and take the garbage.
I'm
And
sold.
I think
Okay, I mean, that's what we need to hear from
the
the
rest of
public.
the audience would agree with it.
I'm sold.
Do you have any
Thank
questions of a homeowner?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was
Wanna ask me a
important.
question?
I like your
No
idea.
more questions.
I like your
That's
idea
good,
of
thank
calling
you.
it side yard pickup. That's
Side yard pickup. Nobody puts it
How we side need Willow Lane, Tenafly. My wife is queen of garbage.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, she always says to me, make sure you put the garbage out in the side yard. It's a great benefit that we have, and we should never lose that benefit. So she's with the mayor.
Okay.
Now, if you ever decide you are going to do curbside pickup, the one thing you may want to consider is also seeing about doing it in-house when it comes down to that time. Because you have the new garbage trucks, the one-armed bandits,
Yeah.
so people call it. What is the cost? I mean, look at the what's going to cost. It may be cost prohibitive based on having to hire more employees, but it's something to compare. So just keep that in mind if you
Fair
decide
enough.
to go to the curb.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christine?
Christine Evron, 39 Leroy. The one thing you haven't been mentioning is if you have trash cans on the street, as some streets do, because they look at their neighbors and they all put them on the street, or everybody puts it at the side. On windy days, you get those trash cans all over the street. And we're going to have more stormy days. Just something to keep in mind.
Thank you, Christine.
That's why I asked for public comment. Thank you.
Okay, all right, so we're going to move on to the administrator's report, please, Jimmy.
Wait, do we need to make a decision on that?
No,
It's on the agenda for
It's
the
on the
next
agenda
meeting.
for, you're going to make a decision in 3 weeks.
Thank you, Mayor. So one item to add to my report, the milling and paving through the Riverside Co-op is going to begin next week. So they'll be going out giving notices for that to begin next
And
week.
that's Highwood, right? That's Highwood?
That's through the Riverside Co-op. So
No,
there's,
but,
No, the
what road is it? What
the
street?
street that they're doing.
I don't know what they're doing
All the
first.
streets.
Those are like the 16.
That was the 16.
Yeah, there was
bunch
the
of them.
multiple, yeah, it was like 15 or 16 roads. I apologize, I don't know them up to the,
Okay, so the county grant was Highwood.
correct, yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And wasn't there Engle also at some point?
That was done.
Mhm.
Yep, that was already done earlier. And that's it, unless anyone has any questions. We have the Chief Chamberlain coming out at the August 7th meeting. We have David Novak attending the September 5th meeting. I got some questions and some feedback to provide to him, so please continue to send them.
Julie, you have a question? Then Lauren,
Yeah,
please.
so Jimmy, just a couple grant questions for you. One is, were you ever able to make contact with any vendor that would do the spotted lanternfly? Did you ever hear back for like spraying that was less toxic or something?
Nothing.
No luck so far, okay.
No.
No, we've had a grant for spotted lanternfly that we can apply to for a while, but Jimmy's point was, and I don't disagree, that if we don't want to go down the road of a lot of pesticide and we wanted to do like a different type of spray, we're having trouble finding a vendor to do that. And so like why apply for a grant if we can't find that type of vendor? So, okay, that was just my question. So no luck there yet. But my other question had to do with, had the Green Spot group that was doing our installations of the electric vehicle charging stations, have they been contacted about the change yet? That was a
So
follow-up.
no, so Jimmy and I had spoken after we emailed this morning, and quite honestly, my afternoon meeting went too long.
Oh.
So we weren't able to make
Oh,
that call. but
So
we were gonna
you'll
do it
hook
together.
up. All right,
Yes.
great. And my last question, I'm sorry, was just that one of the grants has to do, it's called the, it's a question regarding this, called the Mars Pet Care Better Cities for Pets Grant program. It's cute. And, but it awards up to like $20,000. And it says in there that nonprofits could even apply. And in Tenafly, of course, we have Pet Rescue, Robin Yerman's group. And I was looking at the grant, and I noticed that it said to let Millennium Strategies know, and then they would apply. So I guess my question is it possible for this to kind of be forwarded to our actual pet rescue group that's within our community, so that would they be able to use Millennium to help them apply, or how does that work?
I don't think they can engage with them, but they're certainly able to apply to the grant on their
They can
own.
apply for
Yeah.
this grant on their own. So maybe I just have to find a way to get this information to them. I don't work, does anyone, I don't know her email.
I don't know the points of contact. It might be easy enough to find out, but you could share them.
No, but I know that there's, Claus does adoptions through the pet store downtown every
Correct.
weekend, so you could always just drop off to them, because they also do a lot of work in our town.
Okay, so all right, so Claus, and then you do know Rob,
Well,
pet rescue person, Robin?
through my sister.
Okay.
She's had
I think we should just let these
more
local groups know. It's $20,000, $20,000. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Jimmy, I have a couple questions. One, when are we finding out, we were supposed to have additional water fillers around town? We were supposed to have an ongoing program for that. What is happening with that?
Well, right now we have the 3 that were installed. So that's something I could ask Mike to put forward for a future project to
Yeah.
continue to gather.
We wanted one in Hyler and then on the other fields that we hadn't done.
Okay.
So I'd like an update on that too. Both the firefighter and the criminal justice body armor here, I would like to ask that anytime we get something for our first responders, that it goes to them. So did you have the opportunity to speak to either chiefs on those?
Yeah, I sent it to both of them. I haven't heard back from the police chief. And in the firefighter one, I'm sorry, which one was that? Because I've been communicating with them on
The
the
Leary, and then the police chief was the New Jersey Division of Criminal Justice State Body Armor Replacement.
Yeah, so the Leary one, we actually spoke with, we were communicating with
Chief Philpott?
Millennium with
Okay.
the fire department personnel. That is a highly competitive, highly sought-after grant.
Sure.
And they've seen a lot of difficulties and many challenges with just the high level requirements that they have in the grant. that one may not be the best one to apply for. They have other ones coming out through the state later on in the year that they felt we would have more success applying for. Because even just on a lower level, looking at the quotes they obtained, so they obtained quotes, and it didn't seem, unfortunately, very promising that we would have a very likely chance to win the
I
grant.
just want to make sure, like,
Of
that
course.
they
We send them-
get to see them.
Absolutely.
Because
Mhm.
I'm liaisons to those, but we don't meet that often, so I
Yeah.
feel like
No, the
opportunities
minute we
missed.
see them, we pass them along.
And then the other thing, this is something I'd like to have going forward. When a new store opens, when we get a permit for a new store that's passed the building department, I would actually like a section of the admin report, and council, let me know what you think about this, that says like, welcome new stores, so that we know, and maybe they're in the process of building it, we know which permits have been approved for new commercial spaces. And it's a little hard to, like, in the report, it says like commercial space deep in this report, but I actually want it to be that obvious, welcome new commercial spaces, or whatever it is. We have.
So it's basically a report of new certificates of occupancy
For commercial business.
for like a store, for a store.
Because they're in here, but it's who applied for the permits, not what store is opening. So it might say Joe Schmo applied for a permit on Tenafly Road, but it doesn't say the new store is a new apothecary kind of thing.
They give the general type, but they don't give a lot of detail.
It usually just says commercial.
Mm.
What I was saying is, I think it would be very good for us to know who are downtown, to know who's coming in, to have to form relationships and things. Plus, I think it's a great thing too for us as a council to say, great, we're getting a new deli,
Right,
we're
we
getting a new
talk about it.
apothecary, we're getting a new whatever store. And
Doesn't the
I
chamber
think
do
that
that?
should be an addition, if it's not too much work for you.
Doesn't the chamber
I'll
do
talk
that?
with Bob Burns and see what we
Yeah, I
can-
mean, Bob creates these, they're
Yeah.
very dense. I'm saying
Used
for
to do
your
it.
quick report, to say, welcome, it's not that
Yeah, I
often
mean,
a new store opens,
Yeah, I
so.
mean, they would have to give that to me, and they would have to generate a new type of way to compile it, but I could talk with them to see what we can do.
Something that I think would be
Dan and then Joe.
useful. Go ahead.
One of the grants, the Mayor Wellness Campaign Mental Health Initiative grant. I would be interested in outreach to the Asian community regarding mental health post-corona and everything, and just need some time to get the program ready together, but I would like to apply for that.
I like the mental health thing, and I would
I
even
would probably
make
run it through CAP or stigma-free.
I would almost make it a larger community.
Julie's not.
I'm stigma-free now.
I think that'd be.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
that
I
could
mean,
be
whenever you have the
larger.
information, I'm happy to, if you need to
Yeah,
set up
but
a
if you want to
call.
let them know, because
Yeah.
today's the deadline.
Okay.
Actually, let me.
Oh, Jeff, I'm sorry.
No problem. I just want to follow up. I had raised at prior council meeting about the cracks in some of the road surfaces within a short time after being repaved. Just want to know if we're following up on that, where we're at, kind of keep that front.
Yeah, so I did that the following day, emailed Mike and Mike Cassidy and Andy Hippolyte, forwarded the information, the responses. So they are, I believe the one part of it was a certain X amount of years prior, but either way, I'll circle back with them, but to make sure that they're regularly inspecting and following up on those roads that have been recently repaved.
Perfect. And if they can do some crack filling.
Absolutely.
If it's
And
past the years.
Microsurfacing, I believe. We still have a budget for that, right?
I believe so.
A pretty big one.
Are we
Yeah.
still doing, like, if there's areas that are dipping down in streets and collecting large puddles because of, like, the mosquitoes and stuff, are we still redoing those type of areas?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that settle, yeah, especially if they were recently paved, of course.
The pothole filling, the
Yeah,
crack filling.
What was
No,
I
they do
doing?
that regularly. Absolutely.
Actually, this is thank you for the reminder. We're at the fireworks the other night, and when you're
this year,
coming
okay.
from I guess it's called the junior parking lot, into the area, there's a very large hole where I think some sort of pole used to be when you're walking over that little bridge to then go into the field.
The wooden bridge over the stream?
Yes.
That's a pole to keep cars from going in there, that yellow pole.
There was a pole at one point that isn't there anymore, and it's a big hole in the
Okay, well,
ground.
so let's find out, because they would have taken that pole out for the vehicles to get in there that night.
There you go.
George's ice cream truck had to go in there.
That's exactly
All
what
the public
happened.
works, the
Right.
vendors.
So I don't know then if that'll ever come up again until the
So
next
let's-
time they do
Let's check to
that.
see if the pole was then replaced.
But maybe even also then as a follow-up, the next time we do a large event there, if that could be like put the cone on it or something?
Something, yeah.
Because it was like
Makes sense.
literally a hole. Okay, that's exactly what I thought it was. Thank you.
All right.
Wait, can I
Yes.
just ask a follow-up on that corner of County and, the big rusty old gas station light?
Non-responsive,
Can we remove it and just,
it's not,
because it's within the 10 feet, it's
Do
public
we
right
know if
away.
it's on, actually, so here's the question, is we actually don't know if it's on public property or private property. Have we
But
checked that?
But it's within the first 10 feet of the property, so we have an easement for safety.
That might be the county, which side are you talking about?
Well, it
You know what we
goes
should
both
do?
county and.
So you know what my thought
I would-
is?
I would.
The triangle.
Yeah,
We
no, so
should-
the county has the tip of the triangle.
Maybe Jeff Stratton could answer that question.
Okay.
Right, have him
I
look at the tax maps to see what's what.
okay.
All right, so Lauren, what we're gonna do is Lauren, we're gonna look at the tax maps to get some more detail and then address that,
Like, shouldn't be-
once we know who the players are.
Yeah, I mean, here's county.
Okay,
It's literally
let's move on to
just like
public
that.
comment. Yes, any members of the, Jeff, your hand was up first, then Howie. Just, you have to give us your name and address again.
18 Church Street. I have 3 minutes. There were two issues that are disturbing us as residents right now. One is the spotted lanternflies that have reached the point that we cannot go out in our backyard and sit down and enjoy a couple of hours together, my wife and I, without these things dropping on us. They're gross and disgusting. If there was some information from the Nature Center or somewhere that could help us figure out how to trap them, get rid of them, that would be very helpful. Second issue is the deer in our area, which is Cherry Street, Walnut, Willow. There are hundreds of them. It's like a farm, or there's a herd. And they're destroying every bush, every plant on our property. So I don't know whether you guys can do anything, whether it's legal, but whatever you can think of would be helpful, so.
Thank you. Howie?
Can I just tell Jeff, I have lanternflies too.
I'm sorry.
And
Go
I
ahead.
said I have lanternflies too, and so far, nothing kills them. I mean, these things are like indestructible. I've tried neem oil, I've tried pesticides, I've tried vinegar, I've tried, anyway, I've just put an electric bug zapper. It's the only thing that's killing them.
You don't-
I have a blue strip around the trees.
Yeah, but then I was getting fireflies.
But you don't use the Dawn,
Won't come outside anymore.
we use the Dawn, the
I tried the
liquid
Dawn and
soap
vinegar.
With a Dawn with water, and you spray, and they all,
Oh, mine are all living through that.
oh.
I'm telling
They
you.
all die. When they're on the tree, they all
You
come.
spray them when they're on the tree and they fall off and die.
Yeah. So a little mixture of Dawn with water.
Okay.
And one thing about the vinegar, if you use the vinegar, the problem with that is it's very acidic and can destroy some of your other plantings. So I would really recommend the Dawn with the water.
I tried Dawn.
Howie?
was basic.
Howie Side, 88 Willow Lane, Tenafly. As long as I'm here tonight, I might as well get my money's worth.
That's what we're hoping.
So, I got to bring to your attention the corner of Tenafly Road and Willow Lane.
Okay.
There is a cable wire, either a phone or a cable wire, been hanging down for about a year now.
Really?
And it is a terrible hazard, and I'm surprised that the borough code official has not done anything about this.
You know,
It's on the main road, you can't miss it.
there was a
Yeah.
wire on my street just now, and the police came, like the wires all fell in a storm, and they were up like the next day, so.
Well,
Okay.
this has been about a year now.
Cable wire.
After that bad car accident, right?
Is it a flat wire, flattish,
No, it's a
It's a
round?
round wire.
I don't think anybody knows.
Although I can tell it's dead
Telephone?
because it's been there so long, I'm
Yeah.
not going to go close to it to touch it.
It's not coming from the top wire
Not
from
the
the tower?
top, it's one
Okay.
of the bottoms. So
It's a
it's
cable,
like
it's a cable.
or
Is it
Verizon.
Tenafly and Willow?
Tenafly and Willow.
Yeah, the northeast corner.
Okay.
It's right there on the corner, and you can't miss it.
Thank you.
I want to thank you guys for a great job for the fireworks. You outdid yourselves. Every year you outdo yourselves, so. And I want to congratulate Jeff and Rich Barada. You've done a great job starting this concert series off. I can't wait for the next couple of weeks. I mean, I'm really enjoying it.
I'll do that in my, my committee reports, but thank you.
Well, you need to be recognized. You and Rich are doing a fantastic job. And if anybody else is doing it who I don't know about, thank you for,
Alona Wasowski
okay.
and Sam Rosemary.
Give them my thanks as well. I mean, we really enjoy it. And it's great seeing people coming out.
Take care, Jeff. Thanks for being here.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Christine?
No.
Shocking.
Talked it out.
You're
All
not
right.
getting your money's worth.
Okay,
You
so
okay?
anyone else in the chambers who'd like to comment? Omar,
Someone
no one
take
here,
her
right?
temperature.
Anyone on Zoom who would like to comment?
No hands, Mayor.
No one? Okay, we're going to close public comment. All right. So any questions on the consent agenda resolutions R23-271 through R23-289?
Not a question, more a comment, quick comment.
Go ahead.
That just, I hope everybody realizes how many of the dollars are going back into the tree fund because people are not replacing their trees. It's quite a large number. No, that's the problem. But I think of all those, there was only one we were returning in full.
To your point, there's also a lot of them where they're replacing the minor trees, which in a lot of the cases is just arborvitaes. They're putting up the arborvitaes, and they're getting out of the, the spirit of what we're trying to get at with that by only planting that, and they're giving up the majors. And
But you could absolutely change it by charging $800 trillion a tree, and then magically we'll replace a tree. If you set the tree fee at 57 cents, of course you're not going to go back. But
So
that's
a lot of these,
Yeah,
a
or
lot
overlap.
of these predate
Yeah.
the changes in the ordinance. And while
These are 2 or 3
we
years old.
charge 57 cents, your fees do have to be rationally related to the cost of replacement, which they now are. So they are higher now, but a lot of these predated that as well.
And as a larger picture, this is also why we've been, and even on this meeting, we've reviewed a lot of the permit fees. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve resolutions R23-271 through R23-289?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Okay, could I have any questions on R23-290 through R23-295? Okay, could I get a motion to approve R20, is there a question?
There may be this one.
Go ahead, take your time. Clarification, go on, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever would like to.
Clarification. Which one did you want?
295.
Okay, then you do that first.
Just briefly on resolution R23-295, after working with Wendy and her advice, and even at the prior 2 council meetings, this is the contract the borough will have with the events company, and then the chamber will have their own contract with the events
Separate.
company for the other.
Good. Okay, could I have a, oh, I'm sorry, Benu, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I think one of the questions was on 294, right? So that's the highway,
Yeah, it's a separate, different portion.
but that's the county.
No, NJTOT.
It's NJDOT grant.
NJTOT.
Correct.
Okay,
So we authorized, sorry, just to clarify, we authorized at the last meeting for Andy to do this. This is just formality and part of the state requirements that they want to see the resolution in support of it by the governing body.
okay, could I have a motion to approve R23-290 through R23-295?
So moved.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Omar, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
I just want to tell our public that we have just approved some really wonderful things for our community. We've approved some wayfinding for signs and walkability. We've approved wonderful community event planning. We've approved road grant for Highwood. We have done a wonderful job with our Tenafly Railroad Station. We have a preservation plan that we're working on. So again, I think we are moving in such a great direction, so thank you, council.
Okay, we're going to move on to public hearings. The first one is ordinance 2318, honorary naming and memorial policies. Omar, could you please read the confirmation of publication of the ordinance and the title?
Sure. Ordinance number 23-18. It was published in the Friday, June 30th edition of the Record. It's an ordinance of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, creating a new chapter, XX, entitled Honorary Naming and Memorial Policies and the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly, 2004.
Okay, I'd like to open the floor for public comments on ordinance 23-18 only. Would anybody like to speak on that in the chambers here? Omar, it doesn't appear that anyone's here to speak. Anyone on Zoom who would like to speak on it?
See no hands, Mayor.
Okay, I'm going to close public comment on ordinance 23-18. Dan, would you like to read, make the motion, please?
I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 23-18, and that notice of the same shall be published according to law.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please conduct a roll call?
Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menden?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 23-19, amendment of title for administrative employee bargaining unit. Omar, could you please read the confirmation of publication of the ordinance and the title of the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 23-19 was published in the Friday, June 30th edition of the Record. This is an ordinance to amend the title, salary, wage, or compensation of the employees of the Tenafly Administrative Employees Bargaining Unit for the calendar years 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023.
I'd like to open the floor for public comment on ordinance 23-19 only. Is any member of the public in the chambers like to speak on this? Omar, it doesn't look like there's anyone. Is anyone on Zoom who'd like to speak on this?
No hands, Mayor.
Okay, we're going to close public comment. Councilman Grossman, would you like to make a motion, please?
I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 23-19 that notice of same shall be published according to law.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menden?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 23, 2023, the mayor and council meeting, June 26, 2023?
So moved. I had sent a couple of small changes which were made more just minor.
Okay.
Not
Mayor and
substantive.
council meeting and June 26, 2023, closed session with some minor edits sent to the municipal clerk.
Right, I just had a question about that. I mean, there was really, there were no minutes per se in the copy that I have. It just says, you know, what the discussions were, but not any details on it.
There's no
In-
minutes
For which one?
In the closed session, so.
It's page 2.
It's
It's
attached.
online.
Mine's a separate.
You don't have
Yes, here it is,
second page?
Vino. Right here. Just so you have it, right? Okay. He's got it. It's okay, it's no problem.
It's one of those rarities where it lined up perfectly, so everything was on the second page.
Then I didn't read it, so.
Okay, could I have a motion to move that, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Omar?
It's a voice vote.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that gets carried. All right, anyone have anything for the good of the order?
So my
Yes.
for the good of the order is just a question on, we had a little bit of an internet problem earlier here, so I'm going to go back to my refrain. How are we doing on this stuff?
We're still in the preliminary
What?
stages. The contract was just sent out to the vendor BIS, so I had to follow up with our representative just to see when the start time will be for, for the installation of the project. But that didn't necessarily have anything to do with that.
Yeah,
That was-
the
that was
internet
the
is
internet.
separate from
Right.
but the audio issues here, you said at this point, you went out to, you have a contract
yes.
initiated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something totally separate, the Wi-Fi.
But that
just-
internet thing has happened a few times, though.
Yes, yes.
Oh.
So I would probably have to follow up with IT to see why is it intermittent like that. So.
Okay. All right, any upcoming meetings, discussions?
So just to reiterate, at upcoming meetings, there'll be the resolution to award a bid for the garbage, but that probably will be in September. And as Jimmy had noted earlier, we've been revolving through all of the fees and doing reviews of them. So there's still 2 left, which would be fees that go through the clerk's office, as well as park fees. So those are coming soon.
Thank you.
Okay. New business, introduction of ordinances, 23-20, amend the fire inspection fee. Councilwoman Dayton, would you like to make the motion on this?
I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 23-20 and set the hearing for August 7, 2023 at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call?
Sure. Ordinance number 23-20, an ordinance to amend section 3.3 fees for inspection of chapter 10 building and housing of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly 2004. Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Okay, 23-21, supplement bond ordinance 22-10. Councilman Menon, would you like to make the motion, please?
Sure. Before I do it, I'd just like a little bit of an understanding of what it's about. And
Just scroll down. Scroll down, it's all in there. Look.
Yeah,
Finance
I
the
was
cost of-
trying to see before I didn't,
It did.
Right, it's a
It
capital.
said installation of computer software upgrades,
Right.
additional bonds.
So this is in addition to the capital improvement, the capital ordinance, and there's a list of items here. Okay. Fine. List of provisions. Okay, for the crew, first for 475,000.
From the Salto. Yeah.
All right, so we have to have the other bond ordinance, the original bond, here it is, improvement, here, okay, you know, issued.
Right,
Section 3, computer software upgrades for the building department, is a new roof for the salt dome for the public works department, and the working materials necessary that go into all that. Okay?
I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 23-21 and set the hearing for August 7th at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, can you please call the roll?
We'll read the ordinance into the record. Ordinance number 23-21, a bond ordinance supplementing sections 3B and 3G of bond ordinance 22-10, finally adopted on May 24th, 2022, providing for various capital improvements by the Borough of Tenafly by appropriating an additional $475,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of an additional $452,000 in bonds or notes of the borough to finance the cost thereof. Councilmember Dayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Councilmember Menon.
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels.
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Okay, committee reports. We'll start with you, Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor.
Yes, I'm just going to use my time to say that the compost pilot program that the Environmental Commission has been very supportive of should be about to go live and possibly might even make it into the mayor's message this Friday. If not this Friday, then I'll give you the details for the following. Yeah. So basically, we're going to be going for 100 families who are interested in composting. I actually know that your wife, Nina, knows a lot about this topic. So we're looking for 100 families in town. that will be paying a small monthly fee for 6 months, but to kind of get us started, where they're going to receive a small bin, and they're going to be bringing their food scraps over to a dedicated place where a company called Neighborhood Compost will be picking it up once a week. So these families will be kind of pioneers and helping out our town a lot, and I would like, and also helping the environment. And I would like in the future maybe to find ways that those families can get some advantages, maybe work with the Chamber of Commerce to see if there's some coupons or things that the dedicated families would get for businesses in town, because they'd be really helping us out. But basically, this would be reducing our garbage, our weight of garbage, and that helps with the environment. It helps with the cost of our garbage. So it's very exciting. It'll be a pilot program, looking to start it in the fall, and it would go 6 months, and we're going to see how it goes. So we're going to have information on the website about how these families can sign up, and we're going to have a lot of education in our schools about what composting is, and maybe those families will want to jump in. So we're pretty excited about it, and it'll be the first of its kind in quite a large area. So as far as Tenafly pioneering this, we're happy to finally get to this point.
Thank you, Julie. Councilman Michaels.
Just really quickly wanted to congratulate John Kriegler and the rest of the Chamber of Commerce. There was a big event last week, which was super well attended. Lots of new people that I haven't actually seen before, lots of businesses, which is great. They updated the website, thanks to the council. We have the banner now up on Washington. And then we have, thanks to the council again, a number of events, 3 events now that we have planned throughout the rest of the year, with Oktoberfest coming up soon. So I'm just really excited to see the energy back in the chamber, and good to see that everyone's really engaged. So congratulations to them.
Thank you. Councilman Menon.
The Board of Adjustment meeting was postponed until the next meeting because lack of quorum. But there was a senior center meeting this evening, right before this one, and a couple of things happening at the senior center. They just welcomed a new assistant, Gina Chamberlain, as to assist the manager there. And then one of the associate board members resigned because she moved to Dumont. So there was a lot of discussion about how to, or how they'll replace her, whether they, whether it's just the ability to appoint someone, or if they have to go through some kind of a search process, elections, all of that. So they had a discussion on that. And then, of course, the senior center regularly wants to know progress on their seniors, the request for a new senior center. And there's continued interest on trying to understand where things are. So or maybe at the next meeting, if it's okay, we'll put it down on the agenda to just kind of keep ourselves fresh on that.
Can I ask a question about that? Was there a discussion, were you part of this discussion? And if so, was a shared building discussed?
They presented their views, and they.
Everyone wants their own building, but.
Yeah, no, they kind of, this was, they presented to us, and, they want to know where things are at that point. In terms of a shared building, they wouldn't prefer it, but I think, they say that membership now is back to pre-COVID levels. They have something like 450 or close to 500 members, of which only about 27% are from Tenafly. So the rest are from all around. But they want to, all of their classes are full, all of their activities are full. They organize the trips all over the place, and those are full. Before, they used to have arrangements with the Township of Borough of Leonia, and they don't even do that anymore because they can't get, they don't have space for it. But anyway, so they are interested in finding out what's happening with the discussions on the senior center. This was the last meeting for this, for the summer. They take the 2-3 months off, so end of September there'll be another meeting. They have a whole bunch of events coming up, though. They'll have a beach party luncheon tomorrow, a Hawaiian luncheon next month on August 15th.
A beach party luncheon tomorrow?
Yeah, so so it's sponsored by the Jewish Home.
There's budget for sand.
And they're going to, I don't know exactly how they're going to bring the sand there, but so that's tomorrow.
Anybody can do it, Michelle can.
Exactly. There's a rummage sale at the end of August, and then a coffee clutch. They've been doing monthly coffee clutches. So there's going to be one on September 5th.
The senior center is accepting donations for their rummage sale.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Yes.
And then various other activities. Things go. Trips to Cape May and Wildwood. That was back in June. They have a trip to Brotherhood Winery on August 23rd. So a lot of these, you can see their notice and reach out to Michelle. She will gladly sign you up for things. So that's it. Thank you.
Lauren, do you have anything to report?
I do. My senior services met, and thank you, John, by the way, and I saw the senior van report. We wanted to make sure that our van has been ordered because we did appropriate money for that. Do you have any updates on that?
The member of the board is communicating mainly with finance on those plans, so I have to connect with the finance department.
You got it. So I do want to make the public, if anyone is listening, aware that New Jersey has just passed an incredible new program called the Stay New Jersey. It's going to be a tax rebate program similar to the senior freeze tax. It will go into effect in 2024, but for those of you who will be eligible, which is a person who is 65 or more and the owner of property in the state, that is the person's primary residence. There is no income limit for eligibility, but you will receive a property tax credit, but you should start getting the paperwork together because we understand that a huge amount of paperwork is about to go forward in the state. So for Tenafly residents, please, if you need help with it, you can reach out to the Assembly. You could reach out to here in RISA is here to help. I'm sure Michelle would become well-versed in this venue, so any of our senior directors. The Senior Services Committee also had a guest from the family of Caring at Tenafly, Carol Somerville, so thank you. And this is a property that's a nursing and rehab home right on Central. So they did raise the issue that many of their community members that are in acute rehab or that have become members of the nursing homes are having trouble for walkability from the nursing home to downtown. They're really on Piermont and Central, and there is almost no lighting over there, and there's almost no ADA sidewalking over there.
Are they calling for buses? They call for the...
They're not, these are not eligible, well, they're not using our senior bus. They're going out in wheelchairs or walkers or whatever it needs to be. They need to have a walkability path. So they are requesting us to take a look at that. They would like road striping, some better sidewalks, and some better lighting in those intersections, basically along.
Care 1 to downtown.
It's not Care 1, it's, excuse me, I just want to get it right, Family of Caring at
Family of
Tenafly.
Caring, right. On county.
That's the old county method.
Yeah, county matter, right.
Yeah, so essentially it's a new company, yes.
Yeah.
And it's Central and Piermont. They would like the ability not to walk on County. They would like the ability to cut into Piermont to downtown. So as we look at our traffic and as we are reassessing these intersections, please add that to the list. And I think that was a very legitimate concern, especially given the population. The last thing from that meeting is that, again, the committee would like to have a financial exception if somebody goes into a nursing home or if somebody is needing medical care or whatever it is, and they missed the deadline for taxes. They wanted both a notification. They want to be able to sign up for a notification like your taxes are due on this day in case a family member is controlling it, so that it gets mailed to the home and whoever's opening their mail can see that. Or have a grace period, or both, so that if they are missing it because they were in a, medical need, or something like a dementia need, that there is some sort of grace period where they're not immediately fined, because the fine kicks in immediately when they miss that deadline.
That's a good question. Do we have a process? It's like, I know some of the public utilities have a process where you can sign up on your grandmother's account, that when she gets a bill notification, you get it too.
Exactly.
Do we have anything like that?
I think at the C with Finance, because they were,
Let's find out.
they did express that they'd be willing to have a listing and a letter be sent out in advance.
To a relative or friend.
Yeah, to whoever they list, whatever
Okay.
information they give us.
That would be from the tax collector.
Yeah.
Not the new one. Here's the-
Yeah. Okay, let's find out.
Yeah, they've been working on that, I could get an update.
Yeah.
But just to be clear,
This is the
everybody
new one.
has a
It's a
grace
brand new
period
one. It
of
just
10
passed.
days. It's just that if you miss the 10 days,
I see. Yes, that's correct. That's exactly how it works.
So anyway, I do think that our borough, yes, but sometimes if they're in a medical state or, I do want to
apologize.
establish something within the borough.
Yeah, there was finance, because the tax collector's
Yep.
office is located in the finance department, did express that they would be willing to be able to send like a letter to the home.
Mhm.
Whatever information they'd want to give us, to
Yeah.
address to who.
Yeah, the resident
I
or
will
their-
get an update on that.
Yeah, the resident or their family can almost sign up to say, we want notifications. Doesn't have to be for everybody, but I do think,
No, those who express the need,
Yeah.
absolutely.
right.
it may help to also remind them that they can pay, the family members can pay online.
Family members, a couple different people have expressed that the family members didn't know, so. yeah.
Anything else?
So then, we've done our DPW. I know that if any resident wants to have roads paved, they should contact Jimmy, contact the DPW. Same thing for pothole filling, right? And I just want to also say thank you to the Tenafly Nature Center. Again, they've been running some incredible programming up there. The camp is full, and they are doing sailing on the Hudson if anyone wants to sign up. That's me.
Thank you. Jeff?
All right, 3 quick reports, hopefully quick. Talk about timing. The planning board at its last meeting had a variance before it for parking for a pickleball facility in the warehouse adjacent to Retro Fitness on 103 North Summit Street. They just need a parking variance. They're going to be providing 4 courts, and it will be by membership. It won't be our town providing free, but that was approved unanimously, and that's very cool. Number 2.
You should have said that, like, 2 hours ago
Well,
when
no,
they were
because
here.
the danger with that is
They'll say they
it's yet to be seen whether they'll build it, right? They haven't
Right.
built it yet.
I'm just saying that the planning board approved it.
Right.
Historic Preservation met last Thursday. There was a request for a certificate of appropriateness from the Presbyterian Church. They want to repair the accessory roadway behind the church, basically putting it back to grass, which it was originally. That's approved. We have an issue at Davis Johnson, I've talked about this room, the archive room. They're talking about, we need to get a dehumidifier in there quickly before documents start to deteriorate, so they are looking at that in their budget.
Jeff, we need to move it out of there. That stuff
No,
is
we
getting
do. We talked about where we could put it.
Contact the county clerk. They might have remedies.
It's too
for you.
much to fit, we don't have storage.
How big of a room is it in?
Mostly, it's all our history.
I'll take you there.
Let's go see.
And it's about 100.
Remind me tomorrow. I will
Okay.
talk to the clerk and get you
All right.
resources.
Also, yeah,
Just on that point, I know that Englewood, the building that they moved from Engle Street over to the other side of Englewood, they're going to have that as a national,
A repository for, yeah.
So,
A lot of towns do that, and a lot of towns try and do it and fail. Rochelle Park had bought a house and had to end up selling it. Just sometimes these are fails, so.
Franklin Lakes.
Franklin Lakes. Anyway, so I said I would keep it short, so I'm not going to get sidetracked. Talked about the roof at the train station. There's finally, work is going to take place at some point.
I may ask for Dan's assistance. I'm contacting the county for just a review, so.
What was that one, the train roof?
Yeah, the railroad station. The Elizabeth Cady Stanton train station roof. And then the last thing we discussed was that next May, I want to say, I didn't write down the date, next April or May, it's got to be May, is the 100th anniversary of the Camp Merritt Monument up in Cresskill, and we got a request from
Camp Merritt people.
Camp Merritt people, yeah, if we want to get involved, and so that's under consideration. Third and final, Tenafly Presents, and I thank Howie for his comments. I really have to thank the mayor and council for all the support for the fireworks and the concerts. DPW, police, fire, TVAC all went over and above, as did a lot of our borough employees, to make it happen. It was almost an overwhelming crowd. We had, for the concert by 8 o'clock, we probably had 1,000 people out there. I said 2,000 by firework time. The mayor said he thinks 2,500. He's probably closer. And then I was getting reports from people literally just stopping on streets because they couldn't get close enough, pulling their car over to watch the fireworks. It was a total success. Thousands of people drawn to Tenafly. And I think that having the concert beforehand, Divinity Rocks, and before her we had School of Rock. It was really nice. Then we had our first regular concert last Tuesday. We had Screaming Orphans. We had about 300 people show up. The Hyler Park was just filled, and it was wonderful. And then we had Calvin Hill with a jazz quartet on Thursday. Even for that, with Thursdays are an off night, we had 100 people. Next Tuesday, I just want to give you the upcoming. Gentlemen of Soul, Smooth Motown R&B, they're going to be coming. They came last year. They have such a great Motown sound. On the 25th, so there is nothing a week from, there's nothing tomorrow, Thursday, this Thursday. So that's tomorrow is Gentlemen of Soul, nothing this Thursday. Next Tuesday, we haven't had bluegrass in a while, long while, probably in forever. So we're having the Brooklyn Bluegrass Collective, their name says it all. And then a week from Thursday on the 27th, we have a double header. We have, we don't do it often, but we have the Mel Nussbaum Quartet, which will be doing jazz. Mel has performed at the library a number of times, and we're finally getting him in on the town concerts. And before him, we have, the name is going to say it all, Awkward Marina. Awkward Marina is a singer, songwriter, electronic, pop, a cappella, angsty, and as she puts it on her website, your next gay icon. She really is wonderful. I've listened to a lot of her stuff, and she really is offbeat and kind of folksy and angst and all that. So please come out for the concerts. We're going to continue them through the summer, and we're just going to build on it. I want to have that park with no breathing room, and I want everybody who comes to pick up picnic dinner at one of our many fine restaurants in town. And I guess to buy ice cream from George. He's always there.
We love George.
Can I just make a comment on something from Jeff? And I told Jeff this. I got to go to the Susan B. Anthony Museum in the Berkshires this past week, or 2 weeks ago. And the Susan B. Anthony Museum founders would like to come to the naming of the Elizabeth Cady Stanton train station. They also want to get involved because many parts of their museum focused on Elizabeth Cady Stanton and had Susan B. Anthony here in Tenafly. And I said, oh, I'm from Tenafly, and they almost fell over. And they said, you don't have a museum, and they couldn't believe it. So again, it draws tourism, it draws people to the community, and it's for women's suffrage, so we should be highlighting that.
Are you around later this week? We'll meet?
Yep.
Awesome.
You got it.
Let's do that. All right, those are my reports.
Thank you. Dan?
Nothing to report.
Okay, I have in my mayor's remarks one thing. Seema Mandelsis has resigned from the planning board. She's moving out of Tenafly. And so I'm going to appoint a gentleman named Daniel Simchi to the planning board. He'll get sworn in at the next meeting. He's a Tenafly resident. He and his wife have lived here for a number of years. He's in the real estate business, doesn't do any business in Tenafly. His spouse doesn't do any business in Tenafly,
What kind of real estate business?
mostly finance. And they own some properties outside of here, outside of New Jersey.
Commercial property or residential?
Commercial and residential. They're originally, their businesses in New York. So, smart gentleman. And that's it. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So